kids and people and to enjoy this ballpark more than they even did Shea Stadium.
I really think the intimacy and the warm feeling of this beautiful building will enable people to get connected more quickly.
You've only got one chance to make a first impression, and we really truly are in the 9th inning of this effort.
After the first game, I'll feel really good. And then if the fans come back and say, wow, this is amazing, I'll feel really great. If they're happy, then we did our job.
It's better than my wildest imagination.
It's going to be a real moment when we open this place up and share it with the fans of New York.
I want them to enjoy this ballpark. I want them to come here and have a day or a night and say, you know, they had a great time.
If they like it, then the vision will be fully complete.
It's really not for me or my legacy. I look at this as my dad's legacy. And I look at this as the fans' legacy. It's just really great feeling to have been able to dream this and then for us to be able to accomplish
it. Citi Field is open for business tonight, and the Met fans are ready for baseball in their new home as Mets host the San Diego Padres opening night here in Flushing. Time now for the Sponge Tech keys to the game, and guys, let's get right to it. Straw, your key for the game tonight on opening night.
Well, I think the key for this ball club is just to get off to a great start. You know, at home, you know, opening day for them, get off to a great start, 09 season, and go from there.
Bobby?
I think I'd love to see them. The key is to get a win, but honest, without being melodramatic, I think we're all winners right now because this is a fantastic stadium, fantastic field, ballpark to be a part of.
Well, it is going to be a very special night here at Citi Field. The pomp and circumstance already well underway. Right now, time to head inside. Met players about to be introduced. We send you to Gary Cohen, Keith Hernandez, and Ron Darling in the booth. Fellas, it's all yours.
All right, Chris, it is certainly an electric night in the ballpark here at Citi Field. The inaugural game, the fans started arriving very early. It has been a phenomenal evening already as the fans get to know their new ballpark, and very soon the Mets will start to get to know their part of the new ballpark.
Well, you always feel great on opening day, and then to open up a new stadium as beautiful as this, just a great feeling.
Ditto for Ron right there. I've never opened up a brand new stadium. Every opening day is special, but this one, this beautiful ballpark, has just got to be up there.
It's the Mets' third home. The first one they inherited from the Giants. The second one fell out of date. And this one is everything that anybody could have asked for. Time for the pregame introductions. Let's go to the public address announcer and Mets radio voice, Howie Rose.
And now, the 2009 New York Mets. Trainer, Ray Ramirez. The assistant trainer, Michael Herbst. Strength and conditioning coordinator, Rick Slate. Physical therapist, John Zajac. The equipment manager, Charlie Samuels. Assistant clubhouse manager, Dave Burney. Visiting clubhouse manager, Tony Carullo. Now, let's meet the Mets coaching staff. In the bullpen catcher, number 54, Dave Raccanello. Number 58, the catching instructor, Sandy Alomar Jr. And the bullpen coach, number 55, Randy Neiman. Beginning his first season as the Mets' first base coach, number 51, Luis Alicea. Also beginning his first season with the Mets, third base coach, number 52, Razor Shines. Entering his 49th season in professional baseball, number 2, Mets bench coach, Sandy Alomar Sr. Entering his second season as Mets batting coach, an all-time Mets favorite, number 20, Howard Johnson. In the bullpen, entering his first full season with the Mets, number 59, pitching coach, Dan Warthen. And now let's meet the Mets players. First, a player who is not with us tonight, number 57, Johan Santana, who remained in South Florida to be with his wife, Yasmile, for the birth of their son. Congratulations to the Santana family. Number 3, infielder, Alex Cora. Number 10, outfielder, Gary Sheffield. Number 11, catcher, Ramon Castro. Number 17, outfielder, Fernando Tatis. Number 18, outfielder, Jeremy Reed. Number 22, pitcher, J.J. Putz. Number 25, pitcher, Pedro Feliciano. Number 33, pitcher, John Maine. Number 36, pitcher, Darren O'Day. Number 39, pitcher, Bobby Parnell. Number 43, pitcher, Ryan Stokes. Number 46, pitcher, Oliver Perez. Number 50, pitcher, Sean Green. Number 61, pitcher, Livan Hernandez. And number 75, pitcher, Francisco Rodriguez. Entering his first full season as Mets manager, number 53, Jerry Manuel. And now, tonight's opening day lineup for your New York Mets. Leading off, the shortstop, number 7, Jose Reyes. Batting second, The left fielder, number 28, Daniel Murphy. Batting third and playing third base, number 5, David Wright. Hitting cleanup, the first baseman, number 21, Carlos Delgado. Playing center field and batting fifth, number 15, Carlos Beltran. Batting sixth, the right fielder, number 19, Ryan Church. Catching and batting seventh, and currently in the Mets bullpen, number 23, Brian Schneider. Batting eighth, at second base, number 1, Luis Castillo. And warming up in the Mets bullpen, tonight's starting pitcher, number 34, Mike Pelfrey. Ladies and gentlemen, the 2009 New York Mets. While we celebrate the opening of our beautiful new home for our national pastime, we salute the courageous men and women of our nation's armed services who protect our freedoms here and abroad. Please welcome the 140 Marines from Marine Aircraft Group 49 Detachment Bravo in Newburgh, New York. The 6th Communications Battalion in Amityville, Long Island, and Brooklyn. Recruiting Station, New Jersey. The 1st Marine Corps District in Garden City, Long Island. And the Naval Junior Reserve Officer Training Corps at SUNY Maritime College in the Bronx, New York. Please welcome active duty personnel from the United States Army, Marines, Navy, Air Force, and Coast Guard. They are accompanied by veterans representing all of our service branches. The New York Mets, along with all of our fans, extend a heartfelt gratitude to all those who have served our country.
Let's get a thumbs up. You're fired.
Our opening day colors are being presented by the Fort Hamilton Joint Services Color Guard. Ladies and gentlemen, please rise and remove your caps for the national anthem. The anthem will conclude with a flyover by 4 F-18 Hornets from the Marine Fighter Attack Squadron Thunderbolts in Beaufort, South Carolina. Here to honor America with the singing of our national anthem, please welcome the cast of the critically acclaimed Broadway revival of West Side Story, an American and New York classic that spans generations.
Beautiful rendition of the national anthem by the cast of West Side Story. An amazing football field-sized American flag displayed in the middle of Citi Field. And as this ballpark opens for real, what impresses me about the scene here is that all the fans are so incredibly close to the field as they all stand and take in these pregame ceremonies. And there you see the F-18 Hornets, who will form the flyover here at Citi Field.
Well, I'll tell you, when I was a kid, my parents used to always bring me to the Montreal Forum to watch hockey games. I remember you used to sit on these seats where you almost were sitting on the person in front of you. That's sort of how you have it here, except they have all this space that you literally are almost hanging over the field, which is amazing. I've never taken a picture with my cell phone till right there.
I did.
It's the first time I ever took a picture of the field because it's that beautiful.
I did the same thing, and for posterity's sake and to claim that I was here, this is such a beautiful ballpark. I know we said it when we had the 2 games against the Red Sox last week, but coming back again and seeing the stadium filled up, it is absolutely spectacular, Gary.
And all the fans have made their way in. All the seats are filled, and in a few moments a very special opening ceremony to cap this opening festivity here at Citi Field. Kind of a transition from what is now the parking lot behind this ballpark into the Mets' new home.
Well, just a great job. You know, there's so many people that are in charge of these opening ceremonies. Great job of honoring our armed services, of course. Now more than ever need our support. And just a beautiful ballpark.
So we're getting ready for baseball at Citi Field. The ceremonial first pitch and a very special one when we come back to the Mets' new home in just a moment. Well, it was September 28th of last year, a bittersweet day in Mets history. The Mets season came to an end, and minutes later, Tom Seaver and Mike Piazza got together for the last pitch at Shea, and then even more pointedly walked out through the center field gates and put a close to 45 years of Mets baseball in their old ballpark. And now they'll be back to inaugurate the new ballpark.
Well, I thought it was pretty funny that Mike retired because he didn't feel like blocking any balls in the dirt. And the first pitch he gets from the franchise, of course, a one hopper. But yes, I just you know, anytime you reintroduce something, you got to have Tom Seaver around, and throwing the ball to Piazza gives it a new life. I'm glad I get to see those two guys do it again. But I honestly was very emotional. I didn't think I would be on the last day last year. Very emotional closing down Shea, and I guess all the emotion to come is going to come from these players in this new building.
Well, it's, you know, Shea has its place in all of our hearts, and it wasn't a stadium I don't think anybody fell in love with, but certainly there's a sentimentality to it that will always be there. Lots of history, going back to 1964, and you know what? Mr. Seaver is the real and only Mr. Met.
There you go.
Well, the tears are left behind at Shea. Nothing but joy to follow here at Citi Field. Let's rejoin Mets radio voice Howie Rose for the ceremony.
Ladies and gentlemen, we direct your attention to the Mets bullpen in right center field. Please welcome two of the greatest players ever to wear the blue and orange, Mets Hall of Fame pitcher Tom Seaver, and soon-to-be Hall of Fame catcher Mike Piazza. Tom Seaver, it's your pitch. Ladies and gentlemen, Tom Seaver and Mike Piazza.
And this time a strike from the franchise.
Well, I told you, I knew he was going to throw a strike. And just a great scene, an appointed scene to have the endings last year. Piazza and Tom terrific walking out of center field, and a strike here by Tom to start this new Citi Field. To the Chicago song Beginnings, which was, we turned it up all the way to the max, right, Keith?
Yes, we did. Perfect musical accompaniment, a strike from the franchise, and I was wrong. We didn't leave all the tears behind at Shea. That was pretty cool. Mets and Padres coming up. First pitch from Mike Pelfrey at Citi Field. In a city rich with baseball history and tradition, it takes more than a game or two to turn a ballpark into a home. It takes a lifetime. It's the core of our childhood, where we grow up and where we grow old together. We tell our children stories about how it smelled and how green the grass was. It is our sanctuary, where we celebrate as one and heal together. Like other childhood experiences, the memories will stay with us for a lifetime. Tonight, we celebrate the possibilities that can only come with a fresh start and a new beginning. As we first enter Citi Field, we allow ourselves a moment to dream and imagine the things we or our children may witness here. Is this the field on which the Mets will recapture baseball's ultimate prize? Is this the spot where a new generation of amazing will have the city believing once again? Together tonight, we and the New York Mets begin a journey that will last a lifetime as we turn Citi Field from a ballpark into our new home. It's just a few feet away from the old building, but miles ahead. Fans stopping to marvel as they make their first way into Citi Field for a regular season game. The exhibitions are over, the ceremonies are done, and now it's time for the fans to come in and the Mets to make them some memories in their new home. At Citi Field in New York, the New York Mets play the San Diego Padres. This Mets game on SNY is presented in HD by IOTV. Get the best in HD free with IOTV. And a pleasant good evening, everybody, and welcome back to Citi Field. Gary Cohen, Ron Darling, Keith Hernandez with you tonight as the Mets get set to inaugurate Citi Field. Mike Pelfrey gets set to throw the first pitch in the new ballpark to Jody Gerut, and get ready for the flashbulbs.
Well, Pelfrey was a little indifferent in his first start. He did get a win, but he gave up 4 walks and 5 hits and 4 runs in his 5 innings of work. Really complicated by the 44-pitch first inning that he needed to get through.
And now ready to throw the first pitch in the history of Citi Field, and it's a call strike. And they will take that baseball out of play. And as will be the case with many souvenirs from tonight's game, it will be authenticated. It will be put in a vault, and all of the memorabilia from tonight's game, first pitch, first hit, first, if it happens, home run, they will be savored forever. Jody Gerut, the batter for San Diego, and he takes ball one. One ball, one strike.
Mike Pelfrey saying, give me that ball back. It was an outside corner knee-high strike.
Well, there was a question going into that first pitch as Gerut rips it down the right field line toward the corner, and it's out of here. The first batter in the history of Citi Field, Jody Gerut, hits a home run to give the Padres a 1-0 lead. I was just about to say there was some question what they'd do about the first ball if Gerut swung and hit a home run. Well, it took to the third pitch, and Gerut hits it out, his first of the year, and it's 1-0 San Diego.
You know what? You tend to forget there's excitement on the other side, too. The San Diego Padres playing in a new ballpark, and now Jody Gerut, 5 for 8 lifetime off Pelfrey with that home run.
Well, here's the pitch right here. It's going to be a fast, right down the pipe. He goes down and gets it. He hit 3 leadoff home runs last year, Gerut did.
Well, he rejuvenated his career last year, Jody Gerut did. Now age 31, and he inaugurates Citi Field in a big way. The veteran David Eckstein takes low, and it's 1-1.
And last homestand, back in August, Gerut hit 3 home runs in 3 consecutive games for the Padres, and he became only the 4th player in history to do that. Well, 4 games in a row now.
1-1 to Eckstein, who grounds 1 foul. Here's your lineup for the San Diego Padres, brought to you by Chili's. Eckstein, Giles, the veterans, Adrian Gonzalez, the biggest bat on the ball club, and then the youngsters, Headley and Kuzminoff, Hundley, and the utility man, now starter Rodriguez, for a San Diego team that lost 99 last year, but is off to a hot start in 2009. They're 5-2 coming into this series.
Yeah, they split with the Giants and split with the Dodgers, then swept the Giants. You see Mike Pelfrey's numbers last year. Outstanding year. First full season to get over 202 innings, 13-11. He got better as the season went on also.
Eckstein lines one into center field, a base hit. So back-to-back base hits for the Padres off Pelfrey to start the first inning. Mike Pelfrey, who gave up 4 runs in the first inning, in Cincinnati in his first start of the year before settling in.
Took him 44 pitches, too, to get through that inning. So Pelfrey, who is a sinker ball pitcher, early in the season, sometimes they struggle a little bit because that sinker doesn't sink. They're a little strong, throwing a little harder than usual.
Here's Brian Giles, now 38 years old and off to a rough start, just 4 for 26 to start the season. And he pops it up. Reyes on the edge of the outfield grass. And there's your first out at Citi Field. Coming a little later than Pelfrey would have liked. Giles pops up one away. And they'll take that ball out of play.
And the Lexus Metsy defense is pretty much those guys that are going to be the lineup every day this season. Church off to a great start in right field, making that decision very difficult for Jerry Manuel as far as Sheffield's concerned, but he has just been red hot. And Ronnie made a great comment. He hasn't struck out this season yet in the first 6 ball games.
Here's Adrian Gonzalez. 36 homers, 119 RBIs last year. He is by far the biggest bat in the lineup, and teams have already begun pitching around him. But Pelfrey does it. It's lined to Reyes, and diving back into first is Eckstein to avoid the double play. 2 down.
Well, interesting. If you look early in the game, this is not the greatest sign you want to see for Pelfrey. A ground ball pitcher. You now have had a line drive from Eckstein, home run from Gerut, a pop-up from Giles, and that line drive there from Gonzalez. So right now, the ball's a little straight, and it's a little up.
And could that have something to do with being maybe a little overamped for the occasion?
Oh, absolutely. You pitch at home opening day, that's always going to be an amped-up time. Now in a new ballpark.
Here's Chase Headley. And he takes a strike.
Well, Pelfrey came inside there. I mean, Pelfrey's got to be able to pitch left-handers inside. And that's been his nemesis thus far. He's worked on that fastball in. And he got one there for a leadoff strike on Headley.
Headley, the switch hitter out of the University of Tennessee. We saw him last year in that 4-game series. The Mets got swept in San Diego. Remember that? The Mets lost 3 straight games 2-1, and then the last game of the series, Tony Clark hit a big home run off Billy Wagner.
Yeah, walk-off home run, right? Let's see Kevin Kuzminoff on deck.
Kuzminoff was the number 5 hitter when the year began, but because he had been struggling and they'd been pitching around Gonzalez, but Black shaking things up a little, putting Headley in the 5-hole. And again, Pelfrey comes inside. It's 2-1.
Well, this is pretty much the same ball club, the Padres, as last year. They struggled offensively. They were down the bottom in team batting average and runs. They had good pitching until they lost a lot of their good pitchers, their starting pitchers. Peavy got hurt, Chris Young got hurt, and they kind of season fell apart for them.
Well, this is a team that has had pretty much open auditions throughout the spring, especially on their pitching staff. They had 46 different pitchers work in Major League exhibition games for the Padres this spring.
They were hoping to catch strength in numbers, weren't they?
And they have found some arms that, well, very few people might have heard of who are on their staff. In fact, they're carrying 13 pitchers. Pelfrey behind 3-1 on Headley. And he takes it low, ball 4. And so the inning continues. First walk given up by Mike, and it's another long first inning for Pelfrey. And Kevin Kuzminoff will come to the plate.
Well, he got through that middle of the order there. The first 5 hitters, 4 of them left-handers, 1 switch hitter in Headley.
Kuzminoff, very aggressive hitter, 23 home runs last year. Off to a struggling start, hitting a .217. There you see the line for Pelfrey in that first start in Cincinnati last Wednesday night. Pitched 4 shutout innings after that 4-run first. And Kuzminoff can't hold up. 0-1. He will swing at just about everything.
Yeah. Well, that's what gets him into trouble, because he can also amass the strikeouts.
Pelfrey's thrown first pitch strikes to each of the first 6 hitters. 2 on and 2 out. A run is in. And Kuzminoff wails at it, and it's 0-2.
That was that good sinker down and into the right-hander. Right now in his career, early career, he owns right-handers, especially down and in. That is his strength. But like Keith said, pitching to both sides of the plate to right-handers and left-handers is the way he's going to get to that next level.
Ahead on Kuzminoff, 0-2. Low and in with that sinker, 1-2.
Well, a guy like Kuzminoff, who doesn't walk a lot, is a free swinger, you don't have to throw a guy like that strikes. You can throw the bait pitch, the bait slider, the hard sinker in and out of the strike zone, see if you'll go fishing.
Yeah, slider in the dirt, right, Keith?
Headley is on first and Eckstein on second with 2 down. 1-2 to Kuzminoff as Pelfrey slows down the pace here. Kevin Kuzminoff, who won instant fame in the major leagues, hitting the first pitch he saw in his first major league game for a grand slam.
See, where do you go from there?
All downhill.
Oh,
well, 23 home runs last year, in his first year 18.
One-two from Pelfrey. Hit in the air, foul off the right side. Speaking of grand slams, did you see the catch last night that Reed Johnson made to take the grand slam away from Prince Fielder?
he is such a gamer. And remember last year when he was let go by Toronto, all of us to a man said, boy, he'd be a great pickup for a team. He's just one of those uniform dirty kind of players.
Wasn't even supposed to be in the game. Milton Bradley got hurt. Johnson came in, saved the game. Game in which, by the way, 4 bases loaded walks in 1 inning by the Brewers.
Oh boy.
1-2. Grounded foul.
I'm glad we weren't calling that game.
You had just the opposite yesterday, didn't you? Couldn't get any better pitching.
Oh, it was just spectacular.
By the way, speaking of that Johnson catch, you see the way Prince Fielder saluted Johnson? You ever seen a hitter do that before after great plays made against him?
No, I've seen players with some expletive deleted at the guy that makes that catch.
Well, remember Ken Griffey in that one All-Star game?
There you go.
When he got robbed of the home run.
Long turn at bat for Kuzminoff. Pelfrey getting ready to throw his 7th pitch. And his 22nd of the inning. Just inside, 2-2.
Well, it was that one All-Star game too. Barry Bonds, Torrey Hunter robbed a home run, and he ended up Barry Bonds carrying Torrey Hunter.
That was my mistake. Yeah. It was Barry Bonds that did that. You're right, Ronnie.
Remember the famous picture of Joe DiMaggio kicking the dirt after Aljon Frito robbed him near the bullpen fence in the World Series. 2-2 to Kuzminoff. Breaking ball bounced to third. Wright will have to go the long way on a hop, and Delgado digs it out, and the inning comes to an end. Jody Gerut stamping his name forever in the lore of just born Citi Field. First batter, first hit, first home run. So it's the Padres who jump out to a 1-0 lead. The Mets will come to bat for the first time in a regular season game at Citi Field. Your Geico Mets starting lineup, same unit that's been going out there every day. Mets are averaging 5 runs per game, have a .288 team batting average. They got stymied yesterday by Josh Johnson, who was dealing. Tonight, it'll be a guy they've never heard of, Walter Silva out of the Mexican League.
Well, he was a teammate of the Gonzalez brothers that are on the San Diego team, and they said, you've got to sign this guy. He struck out 11 of the batters from Puerto Rico in the Caribbean World Series. Mixed reviews in his first start. Threw a lot of pitches, 95 pitches in 5 innings.
And Reyes bluffing the bunt, takes ball 1.
Walked the pitcher twice. Never been to New York City. He got the go-to on the Mets from Duaner Sanchez, who helped him out with the Mets hitters.
And the breaking ball in for a strike. Well, you know, Silva is pitching in this big moment with 41,800 people watching him. Grounded down to first base, and Adrian Gonzalez, a Gold Glover, makes the play 1 away. And you know, Bud Black said, look, he's 32 years old. It's not like he's some kid. He should be able to handle it maybe better than one of my young stars.
Well, I think that might be the case, but it doesn't matter how old you are. When you get your first taste of the big leagues and you're 32 years old, I mean, you're excited for the chance, and he's got to have butterflies like anyone else. He might be 32, but he doesn't have a lot of major league, no major league experience. Second start.
Here's Daniel Murphy trying to shake off the effects of yesterday's dropped fly ball. And you know, Murphy said all the right things after the game. He put it all on his own shoulders.
Well, he's a stand-up guy. Yeah. He's not going to make excuses. It's a ball he should have caught, and he knows it. His inexperience in left field showed yesterday. He broke in on 10 feet before he realized it was hit better than he realized. And then I think the sun got a little bit and that became a factor too.
Well, as he gets better out there and gets more work, he's going to learn that the key for him is to get all the way back there and then work his way in. It'll be much easier, but easier said than done. It's a guy that's played infield his entire life, and now they're moving him out there.
And now out in the very spacious Citi Field outfield as Silva works him up and in. By the way, Jerry Manuel confirmed before the game today he will start Gary Sheffield in right field on Wednesday night. So you'll have Murphy and Sheffield on the corners. 2-2 breaks his bat. I don't know how he hit that without it hitting him, and the catcher Hundley goes out to get it. Silva running it right in on the fists of Daniel Murphy.
Well, up and in right here, and it doesn't take long. The ball's off the plate, and it's a tough pitch to lay off. That is one of the hardest pitches for a hitter to lay off, up and in fastball.
And it's a cutting fastball, so that ball starts in and moves in on your hands. That's tough for lefties.
So 2 out and nobody on. And now David Wright. David hitting at .304. And he takes a strike from Silva.
You fans out there, keep an eye on David's front shoulder. He's been really flying open that front shoulder and lifting it. Become very low ball hitter.
Goes the other way into right field, a base hit. Chased to the line by Giles. Wright will try for 2. Giles with the throw to second on a hop. Not in time. Good throw, but Wright beat it. And the Mets have their first hit at Citi Field, at David Wright double.
Well, nice hitting by David there. It looked like he was trying to go that way. He's been out in front on the first road trip of the year in Cincinnati, and then it got worse in Florida. So I know he's working going the other way. That's a pitch he could have pulled. When you're not feeling good, you take that pitch over the middle you can play with. You play at the opposite field until you get your groove, and then you can go start swinging for the power. Nice hustle, too.
So David creates yet another Citi Field souvenir. And now Carlos Delgado will try and get him in with the tying run. Carlos off to a terrific start. 3rd in the National League with those 8 RBIs. Hitting at .391. Padres curl the infield a bit to the right, but they don't overshift. And Delgado swings and misses the slider.
And you can see the defense. We're going to show you the Padre defense. I forgot. We didn't do that yet. Gonzalez over there at first base. Got the gold glove. Congratulations to him. He's a terrific first baseman. And overshadow, you don't really hear about him over there, but he can pick it.
Probably the most underrated player in the National League, playing out in San Diego in obscurity. Their best bat and their best glove.
And there you have the semi-shift. And you see the third baseman there over to the left. He's kind of got to stay there because of the runner at second and a potential stolen base.
So the big hole on the left side of the infield for Delgado. And he bounces one toward first, a foul ball. 1-2.
Oh, they've been pitching Carlos inside. He had a terrific at bat yesterday, Ronnie.
Oh, that last at bat hit that backdoor slider.
One-handed backdoor slider, knee-high outside corner off a very good pitcher in Josh Johnson, and hit it off the scoreboard for a double, one-handed to the opposite field. It's a terrific at bat for Carlos.
You know, it seems like to me, I know it's early in the season, but the scouting report to me seems the opposing teams know the Mets are trying to work deep into the count. There's been a lot of guys being very aggressive on that first pitch, pumping that first strike in there to get ahead.
Silva ahead 1-2. And Delgado bloops one foul. That'll go into the seats.
Well, that's something that we're going to see. The hitters are going to have to deal with how far this fence plays, but even something that's underrated, hitters want to know when they foul a pitch off, is it going in the stands or is it staying in play? There's no room behind home plate, but there's I think, fair amount of room in front of the dugouts.
Once you get past the dugouts, though, that room diminishes significantly with those angled stands going to the fence that hugs the line down to the corners. Delgado pulls one over the bag, but just foul. So it stays 1-2.
Oh, I wonder how our Mr. Security guy is doing down in Florida today. The guy who caught the double by Church.
Oh, gosh.
Fair ball.
How embarrassing was that?
I got a little too harsh with him.
Yes, you did. You buried him.
This is a harsh league.
I need to apologize.
You buried him.
He's not going to hear it.
He got fired, too. I want to know that.
Don't say that.
He just wasn't paying attention. We're all guilty of that sometimes.
Yes.
1-2 to Delgado. Curveball when it misses low. 2-2. Walter Silva spent 7 years pitching in the Mexican League, mostly for the Monterrey Sultanes.
You know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of the Braves' Jorge Campillo. Same kind of pitcher, all different speeds on all of his breaking balls, 4 different pitches, fastball, cutter, sinker.
He is quite the success story to be here in the big leagues. 2-2, bounce slowly. In comes the second baseman Eckstein, has time with Delgado running and makes the play to end the inning. So the Mets get a 2-out double from David Wright, but do not score in their first inning at Citi Field. And so it's the Padres who take a 1-0 lead into the second. One of the features here at Citi Field, right out front of the rotunda, the bricks that so many fans purchased.
Did you get a brick?
I did. My wife and I have a brick out front.
You do?
I was going to do it, but the new house, I sunk all my money in that new house. I couldn't do it.
He couldn't get a brick. He put all the brick in the new house.
It's a brick house.
I wanted to.
Nick Hundley leads off the second inning, coming off a 4-for-4 day yesterday. Padres played at home yesterday afternoon and beat the Giants, and then flew cross country, and that's why the Mets are playing their home opener at night, because you can't have a team fly west to east like that and play a day game the next day. Hundley takes a strike. They could have played tomorrow afternoon, but then they wouldn't have had a cushion day in case of a rainout, so the Mets opted to play this game Monday night.
You mean when the Mets played at night on Sunday night and flew all the way to San Francisco and played a day game the next day?
That's going the other way.
Oh, okay.
Hit hard and just foul. The third base umpire Bill Hahn first got out of the way and then made the call.
He almost got undressed there. That was a bullet.
Holding his heart.
Want to dance? Oh, that ball's...
That's a fair ball.
That's a fair ball. I think
that's a fair ball.
They hit the bag. If it didn't, it's foul.
No, it didn't hit the bag.
I think it went over the bag in the air, though, didn't it?
Bill Holmes, he's sporting a brush there. Nice little brush.
So Pelfrey might have gotten a break. There's Bill. Don't want to cross him. He's got a temper.
Does he?
Yeah. Nick Hundley, no relation to the Hundley catching family. Of course, Todd played so brilliantly for the Mets.
Well, he's locked in right now. 4 hits yesterday. Just a home run shy of the cycle.
In fact, he hit a single, double, triple in that order first time up. Went for the natural cycle.
He's a lifetime .253 minor league hitter. His first season was in 2005.
Hit .237 for the Padres last year in 60 games. 2-2, and it's in there for a call, strike 3. Hundley down looking, and Pelfrey has the first strikeout at Citi Field. Well, standing by with a member of our broadcast team who's here as a celebrity today. Here's Kevin. Kevin?
Always a celebrity is Ralph. Ralph, first impressions, what do you think of the ballpark?
Well, Kevin, it's great. I want to thank the Wilpons for allowing me to be here and be a part of this action. Dating back to 1962, I was involved in the Polo Grounds, and then Shea, now finally this one, and it's a great honor.
You mentioned the Polo Grounds. Actually, some of the things that they talked about in the design was, they said, for instance, the green seats. They did that to kind of bring back the Polo Grounds. Do you see any of that park here at all?
The Polo Grounds is a different place. It was really short on the foul lines and 483 feet to center field. So it was a different place. It still has a touch of Ebbets Field and the Rotunda, of course. And that was one of the great places to play baseball. I love playing there. The fans are great, like they are here. And so it was a real thrill to play both in New York and both parks.
Rodriguez pops out for the second out. What are your emotions like? I mean, as you said, you were here from the beginning, Polo Grounds for a couple of years, and then Shea until last year. Just your emotions from closing Shea last year and then coming in today and seeing this.
Well, I think I never really thought Shea was a great stadium, because it was built for two sports, football and baseball. This is a baseball park. This is the way it should be. You see the players, you're up close and you're involved with them. You see their faces. It's one of the great things about baseball.
All right, as a home run hitter, what do you think of the outfield play? As Pelfrey just tripped on the mound, caught a spike, I think, and he says he's okay. take a look at that replay. Big Pelf, they'll come out and check, but I think he's okay.
Oh,
Ralph,
boy.
as a home run hitter, you look at this park, it's certainly spacious. You played in deep parks, so what are your thoughts there as a hitter?
Well, of course, it's going to be a little tough to hit home runs here, but the ball they hit in the first inning, they went out of this ballpark like a rocket. I mean, it did go out.
Yeah.
So it's available. It's going to be a pitcher's park, which they would like anyway, because pitching is the best part of the game and the biggest part of the game. But it's not an easy park for home run hitting. And, of course, the higher fences will make it more difficult. A lot of doubles, though.
Yeah, I think so. Well, Ralph, always a pleasure to see you. You know that. Okay, enjoy the game.
Okay, Kevin, thank you, and give my best to the guys.
Guys, the best from Ralph. Back to you.
Thanks, Kevin, and thanks, Ralph. And, Ronnie, what the heck happened with Pelfrey?
Well, what he did is that when you try to land that front foot, you want to catch your back of your foot. And what he did is his front foot caught first. The spike would kind of toppled him over. I've honestly done that before, but luckily I've been able to get the pitch away before I fell to the ground or tumbled.
You also didn't have as far to fall as Mike does, as the pitcher Silva lines one the other way, and he has his first major league hit. So Silva, who had gone 0 for 1 in his big league debut, after Pelfrey falls, Silva hits.
Goes right with the pitch here away. It's just too much. It's up in the strike zone too much, and when Pelf gets it up, Ronnie, he loses his sink, and the ball tends to flatten out and stay on the same plane. Nice hitting.
So now Jody Gerut, who delivered the keynote address. Welcome to Citi Field, everybody. I'm Jody Gerut. Here's your home run. On the third pitch that Pelfrey threw tonight, that's the only run of the game so far.
And I made a mistake. He became the 7th player to hit a home run in every game of a series, and he's got quite good company that he joined. That's Dick Allen did it in '68, McCovey in '69, Dusty Baker '80, Rick Wilkins '93, Ryan Howard '06, Andrew Jones '06.
Wilkins had that one big year with the Cubs. He had over 30 home runs. Later played for the Mets briefly. Gerut's home run was his first of the year, and he takes low and away.
Well, he got a fastball right down Broadway. And if that was in Boston at Fenway, it was around Pesky Pole.
And if there's any part of this ballpark that's going to play short, it's right there.
Yeah.
Low fence, relatively close, right down the line in right field.
And you've got that overhang over there, like Detroit, like old Tiger Stadium.
The overhang in right field, the Pepsi porch, hangs 8 feet over the field of play. So if it hits that subway sign or those Pepsi signs, that's a home run. And you could have an outfielder camped under a ball waiting for it, and it could doink off that overhang, and it's a home run.
Is that a new word in English language? Doink?
Actually, doink comes from football, for when you hit the hit the goalpost on a field goal.
Onomatopoeia.
Exactly. Line drive, base hit. Gerut's 2 for 2. Beltran gets over in the gap, slides to knock it down. Silva to third. Gerut heads for second. He's in with a double. Jody Gerut with 2 extra base hits in the first 2 innings. And the Padres have second and third with 2 out. And Pelfrey, since falling down, has not gotten an out.
Well, these are left-hand hitters or low ball hitters. That's just up too much, mid-thigh, and too much outer half of the plate. That ball almost got by Carlos. And those pitchers, they can clog them up, can't they?
They really can. But I'll tell you, a good play by Beltran to keep it in play, because if that does get by him, even Silva could score on that.
Yep. Silva hit second base.
Oh, yeah, it kind of it's been a while since he's been out there, I'm sure.
It's one of the great configurations of this park, the right field. I love it. And out there where Beltran made that play, it's 415.
So here's David Eckstein with 2 in scoring position, and he takes ball 1. Eckstein singled to center his first time up. Eckstein, who played last year with Toronto and with Arizona. Shortstop throughout his career, and now being asked to play second base.
You can't pitch him away, because he will shoot that ball to right field. Big hole between Delgado and Castillo.
And Church shortened up in right field. Eckstein pulls one right over the bag and down the line, and that will score 2. Eckstein heads for second. He will be in with a 2-run double, and the Padres have a 3-0 lead. Eckstein's 3rd double of the year, and Pelfrey gives up 3 straight hits after 2 out after he fell down on the mound.
Tried to come inside. Too much plate. No sink, Ron.
Yeah, just balls up this inning. especially up since he fell. And Eckstein is just one of those guys, you know what? You put him in a computer, no one's going to draft him, but he's a winning player. Gets those kind of hits, makes the big play.
Slider in for a strike to Giles.
Oh, mixed in a little curveball there.
Well, you have to wonder whether there's any connection between Pelfrey's tumble and the 3 hits that have followed. Giles popped to short his first time up.
Well, I'll tell you what happens when those kind of things happen. You saw Pelf had a big smile on his face. Sometimes it's almost like you get out of where your mind's supposed to be. You're a little embarrassed because you fell. You have a laugh, and the next thing you know, things can happen very quickly before you can get back into that game mode.
You had a very interesting passage in your book about losing focus during the clincher in '88.
I did. It was 2 outs, and I thought to myself, you know what? I'll never have this chance again to close out a division championship. I'm going to find my parents. I want to make sure they're great and soak all this in. Well, I soaked it all in, and then I couldn't even hold the ball and throw a strike. It's hard to get out of that kind of athlete mode.
Blooped, shallow center. Out goes Castillo. Can't get it. Base hit. Eckstein in to score, and it's 4-0 San Diego. A little flare off the bat of Brian Giles for his 4th RBI of the year. 4 straight 2-out hits have produced 3 runs, and it's 4-0 Padres.
Well, I will have to say, in the beginning of the season, other than Santana and then John Maine, of course, had a fine effort, just the 2 solo home runs. Jammed with that pitch inside. Nothing you can do there. That was a pitcher's pitch. Brian Giles just got the hit, but a lot of visits Dan Worthen has had to make out for his young pitching staff so far this season.
Gave up 4 his first outing in Cincinnati in the first inning. Well, now he's given up 4 here in his first 2. And that was unfortunate right there. If you wanted to make, to be the perfect pitch would have been more up in the zone. It was belt high. He just tied up Giles, though. And, sometimes you make a good pitch, you don't get the breaks.
So now Adrian Gonzalez, who lined out to short his first time up. Pelfrey struck out Hundley to start the inning, got Rodriguez to pop up, had the pitcher up with 2 out and nobody on, and Silva singled to right for his first big league hit. Gerut followed with a double, Eckstein a 2-run double, and then Giles the bloop single, and 3 runs are in. Pelfrey up to 43 pitches in the 2nd inning, and Gonzalez gets jammed and pops one up near the mound. Pelfrey gives way, and Delgado makes the grab to end the inning. But 7 Padres came to bat, and the San Diego Padres put up a 3 spot, putting Pelfrey and the Mets in a 4-0 hole. New York Mets baseball on SNY is brought to you by IOTV. Get the best in HD free with IOTV. By Citi. By American Airlines, by Geico, by Toyota, and by Sponge Tech. Mayer is on hand. Resplendent in his Mets jacket.
Oh.
Mr. Trump is here. Carlos Beltran leads off the home 2nd inning and takes a strike from Walter Silva, who now has been staked to a 4-0 lead in search of his first major league win. Beltran hitting at .360, has hit in all 6 games this year, and he pops the one up into shallow left. Headley coming on, and that's the first out. So 1 away, and Ryan Church will be the batter. Church off to a sizzling start. 478, 6 doubles, a .538 on base percentage, a .739 slugging percentage, and he's getting a seat on the bench Wednesday night.
You know what that's called? Statement. Hasn't struck out in his first 26 at bats. The most ever was 23. So he has come out smoking. The thing I like about it, Keith, and I'm sure you do too, his ability to hit the ball the other way. He's got 3 doubles to left field, left and left center.
You got to love his defense too.
Yep. And on Wednesday night, you're going to have Oliver Perez on the mound, a fly ball pitcher, with Daniel Murphy playing left field and Gary Sheffield playing right field in this large, expansive outfield.
This is going to be a real test, I'll tell you.
and I don't understand it. I have to be honest with you. I mean, I understand that you want to get Sheffield involved at some point, but could you wait for Ryan Church to cool off before you do that?
Yeah, he's batting almost 500.
And he walks on 4 pitches, and so the Mets have a 1-out base runner. First walk given up by Silva, who walked 4 in 5 innings in his first start.
4th walk on the year for Church. And you can see with Silva right now as Brian Snyder steps up, he's not an overpowering pitcher. He's got to spot his fastball, get his curveballs over. He's behind the count breaking ball pitcher, control pitcher.
So here's Schneider, 3 for 15 to start the year. Church at first and 1 out. Mets down by 4 in the second. And he takes a strike.
You know, the problem for the Mets team that spent a lot of spring training trying to be very aggressive on the bases, trying to push the envelope, hit and run. When you get behind like this early in the game, it takes that part of the game away.
They had a different problem yesterday. They couldn't get people on base.
Well, he was just about as good can be. Now, Santana was just overpowering, 13 punch-outs.
7 innings.
But Johnson, for, you know, to start a game, to finish the game, and he got, to me, he got stronger as the game went along. That tells you a lot about that young guy.
It's amazing how you have certain days as Schneider hits one slowly to Gonzalez, goes to second and gets the force there. The return by Rodriguez not in time, but you saw Gonzalez, a Gold Glover, make an aggressive play there.
There's a man after my heart. Being aggressive, get the lead runner. That's the first time I've seen someone do that in a long time at first base. You see the runner right there to bottom of your screen. Plenty of time. Get the lead runner. If you don't, you play it safety first. That runner's in scoring position. A base hit for 1 run. And outstanding play.
The great part of that play is that even if you go to throw and you say, wait a minute, I might not have him, you just have to stop and throw the ball to the pitcher for the out.
He knew he had him all the way. It was just nice to see.
Helps to be left-handed. Here's Luis Castillo bluffing the bunt.
No, I'm not. I know I said it was a great play. It was not a great play. It was a routine play. It was a heads-up play.
It's a play you haven't seen. That's why I made it.
It's a play a lot of first basemen don't think about making. And certainly a play that a right-handed first baseman would never think about making.
Well, I remember Keith used to do it, but he'd be back. Sometimes he'd be back all the way almost on the outfield grass. He would get that play, and it's much easier to go to the second baseman. Keep it with the athletes. Don't try the exchange with the pitcher from that far away. It makes it difficult. There you are. You got your fans here at Citi Field.
That's for Tatis.
That looks like a statement right there. 2-1. That's very much in the style in which the Mets retire their numbers. Right on the left field fence. There they are. I think they copied the design from that. So somebody is taking a vote.
Yes. Why not?
2-1 to Castillo. And he takes a strike. Speaking of retired numbers, Mr. Seaver will be with us in the booth next half inning.
Excellent. I'll stand up. I'll give him my chair.
Very nice.
Let the pitchers sit.
No, I do, because he has to sit in the middle.
That's true.
Yeah.
Boom the ball.
We have plenty of room. Nobody needs to fight over seating.
Nothing to do with room.
Play the music. Whoever, when you turn it off, whoever's sitting.
I'm deferring to Mr. Seaver. I'll give him the seat.
2-2 to Castillo with a runner at first and 2 out. 32-year-old Walter Silva in his second major league start. Third oldest rookie in Major League Baseball this year, behind the 2 Japanese pitchers, Uehara of the Orioles and Kawakami of the Braves. Low and inside, 3-2 to Castillo.
Well, I thought it was going to be freezing tonight. It's really not a nice night.
Temperature right around 50 degrees.
No wind, though. I think that's the key.
Or else we're sheltered.
Well, the wind's out of the west, so it's from behind us.
Yeah.
Fans seem pretty comfortable in jacket and whatever manner of hat they decide to wear.
Is that a Robin Hood there, or Alan Adale?
As the top of the promenade, the top deck here at Citi Field. The runner goes, and Castillo rips one into the right field corner for an extra base hit. Schneider coming to third, being waved around by Razor Shines. And it's dropped by Eckstein. Can't make a relay throw. Schneider scores from first on the double by Castillo. And the Mets have their first run at Citi Field. It's 4-1 San Diego. An RBI double for Luis Castillo.
Nice hitting by Louis here. Breaking ball. Just stayed up. Flew open his hips. And he is off to a great start here. He struggled at the beginning, the 4 for 4 in Florida. Seemed to get him going. And Snyder's really heads up with 2 outs, breaking with the crack of the bat. And there's the contact right there, right in the barrel. Nice hitting.
That's bad pitch selection right there. You got to pitch him away, play him away defense, and you decide to go with a 3-2 breaking ball.
Pelfrey with a good cut fouls it off. Well, Jerry Manuel and Howard Johnson were adamant with Luis Castillo about being more aggressive, and he swung that bat aggressively. No defensive cut there. Pelfrey 0 for 2 on the season, 7 for 91 in his career. And takes the breaking ball wide, 1-1.
I wonder if Louis a little bit tender. Did it hurt something and running the bases there?
Pelfrey pops one up into shallow center for Gerut, and that retires the side. But a 2-out RBI double by Luis Castillo produces the first Mets run at Citi Field. Tom Seaver joins us when we come back. We head for the third, 4-1 Padres. Tonight's aerial coverage brought to you by DirecTV. If you call yourself a sports fan, you got to get DirecTV. Some beautiful shots of Citi Field. And by the way, no traces of any rubble from Shea Stadium. They got it all out of the way, paved the parking lot, and ready to go for opening night as Chase Headley takes ball 1. And we're very pleased to be joined in the booth by the franchise. Mr. Seaver, how are you, sir?
There's 2 comments in there I didn't like. Okay.
So far.
2 comments. I take them as a personal, I mean, and I get it from a lot of my friends, too, because they know I don't really, from a personal standpoint, enjoy that. Franchise and Mr.
You are the only Mr. Met.
Oh, I tell you, yeah. The best part with Keith is you always going to get the needle in you, too. Yeah. But you enjoy it,
Murphy gets a little sarcastic roar as he catches the fly ball from Headley. Well, I thought that all the tears were gone when you and Mike walked out through the center field gates at Shea Stadium. But I have to admit, when you came back in tonight, I was feeling them again. How did it feel for you?
No, I think it was more joy than anything else. Yeah. I think the ballpark, and I go back architecturally, I just so disliked Shea Stadium from a functional standpoint, especially when you went underneath and all the other stuff. And this place deserves to be here. I think it's terrific. It looks like there's a lot of great seats. It looks like it's just done very well, and it's well deserved here. It's just been too long for it not to be here. And the players got the fans have a great place to watch the game. I walked into the clubhouse and I went, where am I, at Augusta? What are we doing here? What's our tee-off time?
Is it Seminole or what?
There we go. Yeah, draw me some suds so I'm going to hit some wedges and stuff. Holy mackerel, what happened to the stool in front of your little cubicle, your cell,
I'll tell you, it's like the golden age of baseball, right, for a player?
Holy mackerel.
Did you have an Arnold Palmer?
Oh, man. But I mean, that's the way it is. His comfort zone is very high level, But I do love it. I think this is really neat. It has a little bit of the same kind of structure here, but as what was before, a little curve around the corners here, architecturally and stuff. I think it's great.
I think you'd like the pitch here. I like the fact, Tom, that it's still an organization steeped in pitching. It's a big ballpark. 384 in left center field. It kind of reminds you of Jack Murphy Stadium with the high, when you hit it in the seats, the big high fence down the left field line.
Now, is that the whole wall out there where it's 384?
Yes.
That's not a wall in front of a wall.
No.
It goes all the way where the orange line is. Yes. Right. That's it. So that's all one. Yeah. Okay.
You got to hit it over that.
Yeah. That's keeping the ballpark. How much fun watching a center fielder run down to get the ball off of Karam, and you got somebody like Lou Brock or somebody can run again, but you're going to get a play at third. How much fun is that? It's great baseball. It's great. It's great theater that way. So you utilize that, and I like it. I really like it. I said bright, got a lot of there's a lot of light.
Yeah. It really seemed to me, as the pregame ceremonies were going on and everybody was standing in the ballpark, it just felt as though people were kind of right on top of you.
I agree. I agree with that.
Yeah.
I mean, the sense that maybe not on top is the word, maybe closer, maybe more intimate. That they're. I like it. I think it's wonderful. I think they've done a great job.
2-2 now to Hundley. So did you take away an actual memento from Shea?
I
mean,
did,
I know
yes.
you talked about
I did.
your office. What did you actually get?
I took a jar or whatever it was I found someplace. I went to the mound and scooped it up and put it in there.
Oh, nice.
And put the cap on it and took it home. I think I asked one of the groundskeepers, and they ran in there and they got got something for me, and I, scraped it off and, put it in there, and I'll take it up on my, in the bookshelf of my office. Absolutely.
Oh, well, the perfect segue is you got some dirt. How's your farming going out there?
Oh, what a person! The old segue here, yeah. Oh, God, it's funny how we went to the rubber, get the dirt off the mound and the rubber stuff, and going to right to the vineyard.
I mean, you could have used the dirt from the mound to grow grapes, right?
I could have, but I didn't.
And Hundley is down 2 away.
Yeah, well, everything's going fine, Ron. We're in our second year of sales of GTS Vineyards, and as I was leaving the other day, I was over in the vineyard with my dogs, and I've used this story before, but I love to use it too. My commute to work is 90 seconds on foot with my 2 Labrador retrievers. And it's just the best. And the shoots are starting to bud out, and the leaves are coming out and everything, and it's been relatively dry, which isn't all bad for grapes. It's not necessarily great for everything else, but things are going well. We're getting to, we have the 07 in bottle or in barrel and getting ready to be bottled, etc. So once it starts, it just it rolls and stuff. And the winemaker, his name is Thomas Brown, and he feels that the 06 is better than the 05, and the 07 is really a step up from the 06. As the, as you know, as the plants mature, they just get better.
Luis Rodriguez lines out to Delgado to end the inning. Well, thank you very much for coming, Tom.
As always, great to come back and see you guys. Absolutely.
Good to see you, Tom. Say hi to Nancy.
2 pitchers and 1 hitter. Some people call it a fair fight.
There's an Arnold Palmer back there in the back.
First thing I'm going to do when I leave this booth.
Here's your Jeep Around the Majors for tonight. Jermaine Dye and Paul Konerko go back-to-back homers for the White Sox for each their 300th career home run. Carlos Quentin added a pair, and the White Sox beat Detroit 10-6. Zach Duke pitched a 4-hit shutout as the Pirates blanked the Astros 7-0. The Astros now 1-6. Brad Lidge gave up a 2-run homer in the 9th to Ryan Zimmerman, but no blown save. Phillies beat the Nats 9-8. The Nats now 0-7. Jose Reyes leads off in the home 3rd inning and fouls off the bunt attempt, 0-1.
Well, Lidge gave up that home run to Matt Diaz, too, so there's a little tug at Superman's cape so far this season. Back-to-back 300 home runs. I think I gave up Andre Dawson's 300. I'm not sure. In Chicago.
Reyes grounded out to first base his first time up. The Mets with a run on 2 hits. The Padres 4 runs and 7 hits off Mike Pelfrey. 1-2 to Reyes.
Jose had a very good spring, good road trip. Swinging the bat good. They just ran into some very good pitching.
Daniel Murphy next, and the curveball from Silva is low, 2-2. 32-year-old Walter Silva in his 2nd major league start. Teammate of Edgar and Adrian Gonzalez in the Mexican Winter League, and they recommended him to the Padres, who signed him in February, and it has worked out for him. 3-2 now to Reyes.
Very close pitch, right? Doesn't look like the curveball of Silva's fooling the hitters much, Ron.
Yeah,
they're taking it with good balance.
3-2, line drive, base hit. High fastball, and Reyes gets all over it, and the Mets have their 3rd hit. He's going to try for 2. Gerut's throw. Did he stay on the bag? No, he overslid, and he's tagged out by Rodriguez. Now Reyes beat it, but that headfirst slide took him off the bag.
Well, good hustle by Jose. Also good hitting right here. Fastball up out of the strike zone. Boy, he gets right on top. And then he challenges the arm of Jody Gerut here, who just kind of la-di-da'd it. That's why. Good play by Jose. And let's see. He's in there. And all you kids out there, just stay with your tag. And he did come off.
Second base umpire Gary Darling right on top of it, and Rodriguez kept the tag on him until he came off.
And that is the key. Most infielders do a swipe tag and get out of there. He just stayed with him and just 3 inches off the bag, but enough to be out.
And that was a great shot. You could see the gap between the foot and the bag, and Reyes certainly was out.
Oh, the runner like Reyes, Jody Gerut had no business kind of just nonchalanting after that ball with Reyes' speed. There's a cat behind home plate.
How about that? First game at Citi Field.
Are you kidding?
And we have a cat loose.
Uh-oh.
The Cats ruled the roost in the lower reaches of Shea Stadium. Clearly, they have made their way across the parking lot.
Wow.
That is unbelievable. First game.
Thank God it wasn't black.
Murphy lifts one to left, and Headley back a couple of strides. 2 out.
Well, there it is right there. You can just see just a couple inches. That's all it takes.
That's the perfect angle to see that.
What a great freeze frame that was. Jay Giles.
Freeze frame. Isn't that strange that Jody Gerut is almost rewarded for not making the right play?
It's an excellent point. He la-di-da'd himself into an assist.
I like the la-di-da, by the way.
I stole it from Keith.
That's my dad's line. Don't la-di-da it out there.
Here's David Wright, who doubled to right his first time up. The first Met hit at Citi Field. By the way, I don't know if you know this, Ronnie, but over the weekend, Keith dropped 1 Shea.
Yes, I did.
So he had to put $10 in the kitty.
Very nice.
Yep.
Very nice. You guys are doing your job.
If I give it 20, can I get change for a 20?
Well, my 10's already in there, so you can have that one. Wright fouls it off. By the way, Ronnie, you did give up Andre Dawson's 300th.
I did,
It was nearly 20 years ago, April 23rd, 1989.
I just spent some time with Andre. We had to do something together. I got to spend time with him. One of the classiest guys in the game. You know, I've gotten to know him a little bit. He's such a nice guy. I wish I'd have known he was so nice when I was pitching against him. He always seemed so menacing.
He was fierce, wasn't he? Is he a Hall of Famer?
You know what? You've got to give him some serious consideration. He was a great defensive outfielder, had a great arm, stole how many bases did he steal?
Yeah.
He stole a ton of bases.
Well, I think the thing that is going to help him is that if we got past this steroid era, guys like Jim Rice, guys like Andre Dawson are getting a second look.
Yep.
And they're not going crazy because they haven't hit 600 home runs.
Wright is down looking. The inning is over. First strikeout for Walter Silva. Mike Pelfrey back to the mound for the 4th, trying to keep the Mets in the game. It's 4-1 San Diego. Fourth inning at Citi Field. Walter Silva, the Padres pitcher, got a big rally started with 2 out in the 2nd inning. Against the previous hitter, Luis Rodriguez, Pelfrey went into a windup and fell down, actually, against Silva. And then Silva came back, got a base hit, and Padres strung together 4 straight hits to put up a 3 spot, build at the time a 4-0 lead. Slow ground ball for Reyes. And 1 away. Well, this is a day of celebration here at Citi Field, but this has been a very difficult week for Major League Baseball. Today, the game lost one of its enduring voices and one of its streaking comets with the loss of longtime Phillies broadcaster Harry Kalas and the passing of former Detroit Tigers star pitcher Mark Fidrich.
Well, for Harry Kalas, 39 years in that booth. He started with the Astros 5 years from 65 to 70. But anyone who does what we do, and you meet Harry Kalas is like a Hall of Fame player. He was a Hall of Fame announcer, the Ford Frick Award in 2002. And a lot of those guys in the past, they don't always have time for young broadcasters or anyone. He was just the opposite. He would befriend you. Do you need anything? Do you want anything, information on the Phillies? Just a really giving person and one of the greatest announcers of all time.
Nice man, relentlessly positive, beloved in Philadelphia, beloved by Philly fans, and of course, you know, people outside Philadelphia know him as the voice of NFL Films and Chunky Soup and that great deep bass voice. And Harry will be greatly missed. And Fidrich, he was only 54 years old.
Well, Mark Fidrich was a friend of mine. Grew up with him. If you grew up in central Massachusetts, that's where he grew up in Northborough. He went to college where my brother went to college, and he was just one of those, the nicest guy you'll ever meet. You would have never known that he was a professional baseball player. He was a farmer later on in his life, and just without any kind of without any ego, just the nicest guy. If you ask Rusty Staub about Mark Fidrych, he'll tell you that one year he went 19-7, that it was the most exciting, more exciting than Dwight Gooden here, to Rusty, the most exciting year that he's ever played baseball, because that's how he captured those Tiger fans.
Oh, I know that Rusty's grieving, because he always spoke very fondly of Mark, and really was a help to Mark. And Mark, that when he burst on the scene, Rusty was with the Tigers, took Mark under his wing. So I know that Rusty's probably really not having a great night right now. I know he's here at the ballpark somewhere.
And it may be very hard for younger fans to understand what kind of phenomenon Mark Fidrych was in the pre-Sports Center era. 1976, all of a sudden this kid that nobody had heard of burst onto the scene, and he talked to the baseball, and he got down on his knees and smoothed the dirt on the mound, and he became an absolute phenomenon. Started the All-Star game that year, won 19 games, and never had another year like that. Hurt his arm, tried to come back a few times, was never the same. But for that year in 76, as the runner goes and Eckstein grounds out to right for the second out, for that year in 1976, the entire baseball world was talking about Mark the Bird Fidrych.
And the timing was perfect, because Sesame Street had just come on the scene,
right.
And Big Bird became popular. Everybody looks at Sesame Street now. It's old hat. They've been around forever, but it just started. It was just starting up, and he looked like Big Bird with the big curly hair. It was absolutely perfect. And one of the great characters of the game, and he'll be sorely missed, both him and Harry.
Well, to put it in perspective, think about this. No one used to go to Tiger games for whatever reason. They didn't have a great team, but they were great when he pitched. And when he did pitch, 55,000 would come. They would not leave until he said goodbye. That's how important he was in Detroit.
Good inning for Pelfrey as he gets Giles to ground out to Castillo. Mets come up at the bottom of the fourth, down 4-1. Empire State Building all lit up in orange and blue in honor of the opening of Citi Field. Be sure to join the Mets here at Citi Field on Wednesday night to celebrate the legacy of Jackie Robinson when the Mets host the Padres at 7:10. Call 718-507-TIXX or visit Mets.com to get your Jackie Robinson night tickets now. April 15th, the anniversary of Jackie's breaking of the color line in 1947. And the official dedication of the Jackie Robinson Rotunda will take place on Wednesday.
Oh, that rotunda is absolutely spectacular. I've walked through there. It's very poignant. Beautifully done. Well thought out.
Carlos Delgado leads off the home fourth, takes a breaking ball strike for Walter Silva. Well, all the fans have really enjoyed these first few days that Citi Field has been open to the public, walking through that rotunda on their way to their seats and reading all about Jackie's legacy.
It's interesting because you see the fans kind of just milling about, not going up the escalator right away, because they want to take all that in and all the wonderful words, of course, that Jackie lived by.
Padres have the overshift on against Delgado.
There it is right there, the triangle.
And you're saying to yourself, why didn't they do that before? Well, remember, Wright was on second base. You have to have the third baseman close in case he wanted to steal, and the shortstop had to keep him close to second base.
Pretty much straight up in the outfield, surprisingly.
1-2 to Carlos, and he got him.
Ooh.
Came inside and got Delgado with an 87-mile fastball.
Wow, I'll tell you what, he spots his comes over the top, Ron throws a dart. Right there, belt high, and beat him.
Second strikeout for Walter Silva. They've come back to back. Wright to finish the third, and now Delgado to start the fourth. And here's Carlos Beltran, who flied to left his first time up. And Beltran takes a changeup up and away.
Well, so Silva's first outing was a little shaky against the Dodgers, I believe. He walked, as we said, 4 batters in 5 innings, 5 hits, 2 runs. But he's throwing a fine ball game right now thus far. Only second time through the order. See if the Mets have never faced him before. Yeah. See what kind of adjustments they make. See if they catch on to him.
The Mets were awfully tough last year on first-time pitchers.
rookie starting pitchers last year were 6-10 with a 6.3 earned run average in 28 starts against the Mets last year. 1-2 curveball misses low and inside.
Boy, good call, Keith, on that curve. It seems that it's a big breaker, and it's a 12-6, but somehow or some way the hitters are seeing it come out of his hand, and he also hasn't proven he can throw for a strike.
I think he's tipping it a little bit. He's doing something different with his glove, Ronnie, when he comes over the top.
Ball hits the center field. Gerut going back onto the warning track at the wall, leaps to make the catch. It's Jody Gerut night at Citi Field. Gerut with a home run, a double, and now he takes an extra base hit away from Beltran.
Well, 408 to dead central right there, and it's a work in progress for the fans, the players, and us up here in the booth. What effect is the wind going to have, as this is the first season, and the wind is blowing from the west out to right field, if you look at the flags on top of the stadium. But that ball was scorched and didn't get out of here.
The fans are hoping that at some point tonight they will get to see the brand new apple. Which is just above where Jody Gerut made that catch in center field. The Mets did not hit a home run in the exhibition games against the Red Sox, and they have not hit one tonight. The apple's still in hiding. Ryan Church takes a strike. The old apple is on display out in the bullpen plaza out on the 126th Street side of the ballpark. Fans can view it, pose with it. Church grounds one right at the shortstop Rodriguez, and Walter Silva has himself his first 1-2-3 inning of the night. So Silva is through 4, and he and the Padres have a 4-1 lead.
And welcome back to Citi Field, where the Padres lead the Mets in this one by a 4-1 count. I had a conversation with Ryan Church about playing this treacherous right field, and certainly there's a lot of corners, a lot of bounces to worry about. He actually told me something interesting, guys. In the exhibition games, when they were taking a lot of balls off the wall, and Church told me he was throwing balls off the wall just to get an idea of bounces, there was all concrete. I'm above the Modell sign, but up high here was all concrete. So he said he could see a line drive going off that and ricocheting halfway back to the infield. He told Mets management to put extra padding on there, so this whole wall is now padded. That'll certainly make a difference. I talked to Razor Shines about outfield defense as a whole, and he said, look, we are definitely going to pinch the gaps because you have to. The gaps are so big here, you can get a triple and inside the park without a problem. Gary, you touched on this earlier. You were talking about an outfield of Murphy and Sheffield potentially in this spacious outfield, how to deal with it. I asked Razor Shines just that. He said, well, that's why we have Carlos Beltran. If that's that big old smile. So Carlos Beltran's going to have even more running room. And one more thing about this. Brian Giles taking a verbal beating out here. Back to you.
Yeah, I could see that. Hit in the air deep down the right field line by Gonzalez toward the pole, and it hits the foul screen. A home run. Adrian Gonzalez with his second home run of the year, and it's 5-1 San Diego. That right field corner's been a magnet tonight. Gerut homered there. Now Gonzalez homers right down the line, and it's 5-1 San Diego.
Well, I got to take a look at this pitch and see the location.
Very similar location to the pitch to Gerut.
And they're trying to come up and in, and he does, and it's alarming to me, Ronnie, with Pelfrey that throws hard. Even though they had a little bit of play that's upstairs, it is in enough, and it's not jamming the hitters. That's a little bit alarming. I'm going to wonder about his velocity.
Chase Headley takes ball one. Well, Pelfrey gave up a home run in Cincinnati in his first start to Joey Votto, and now he's given up 2 home runs in this ball game. He allowed only 12 all of last year.
Well, I think one of the reasons to watch, a lot of times the hitters will tell you what the pitcher is doing, and I think that because Mike Pelfrey has not been able to establish maybe his curveball, he's thrown 1 for a first pitch strike, and he hasn't thrown a lot of changeups to the left-handed hitters. You're getting a lot of the same speed, Keith, and once you get the same speed over and over again, the hitters really start to time it, especially your best hitter, Adrian Gonzalez. And that's one thing they'll always tell you. It's hard unless you have superior stuff to go hard all game long. You've got to be able to change speeds a little.
There's a strike to Headley, 2-2.
And you know, face these hitters, 17 out of 23 hitters he's thrown a strike to. So what does that tell you? That's really good. But the bad part means that he's not finishing off the hitters, and that's not a good sign.
There's a good up and in fastball right there that tied up Headley.
You love that, don't you?
Well, Blazing Saddles. Harvey Korman, Headley Lamar. I loved it.
Not Heady, Headley.
Headley. He broke his bat.
You know, to take what Kevin was talking about the right field and the entire field for here at Citi, but especially right field, really to me it comes in textures. You've got hard spots. You've got the fence where the ball's going to hit and stop. You've got the bottom where it might jut out. So all these different textures you have to deal with and anticipate how it's going to come off, how hard it's going to come off, and that's what's going to make it difficult for Ryan and whoever plays right field.
Of course, other than the overhang, what that right field reminds you of most is San Francisco.
Yeah.
Because at Pac Ballpark, you've got the short corner. It's only 309. You have the 24-foot high fence, and then it juts all the way out to 421 in the gap. Along the line, a long run from Murphy near the stands, and it goes foul. And that's not easy either. You've got those stands in both corners so close to the lines. But in right field, you're talking about the textures. That's what they have in San Francisco.
Yes.
You have that the tin plate at the top, and then you've got all sorts of archways and different ways the ball can bounce. And here, as you move further towards center field from that Modell's area, you've got all sorts of angles at that
Yes.
Xerox sign, and that ball can go in several different directions.
Yeah, it goes from 378, you can see right out to 415.
Swing and a miss, and Pelfrey gets Headley. That's only the third strikeout for Pelfrey, one away in the fifth.
And let this one loose, Ronnie.
I think that's a good point, Keith. It seems like Mike is kind of feeling for the strike zone. Not as much last year. He sensed that he had this reckless abandon of attacking the strike zone. It seems like he's feeling for it tonight.
Here's Kevin Kuzminoff, who's grounded to third and single to center, 1 for 2. The Padres 5 runs, 8 hits. The Mets 1 run and 3 hits. And Pelfrey starts him off with a slider for ball 1.
You can see the patch there, the inaugural season patch on the right shoulder. Very nice. You know, people have told me in the past, are you jealous of the players today because you're not playing anymore and the money they're making? I never was, but I must say with this ballpark here, I would love to play in this park.
I know they have state-of-the-art lifting facilities. They have a batting cage literally steps away from the clubhouse. They've got the ability to rehab injuries in their larger-than-life whirlpool tubs and all those kind of things that are just pro-friendly for the player. And I was telling Tom, it's a golden age to be a ball player, to be able to play in these beautiful parks. And
if you're a bench player getting ready for your assignment, is better here than anywhere I've seen. Down the right field side and out of play, 3-2 to Kuzminoff. They've got a sprint track right behind the dugout, right next to the batting cage, so you can be taking swings, getting your sprints in, and be ready in 10 seconds to be a pinch hitter, a pinch runner, whatever.
I love the whirlpool in the trainer's room, which is world class, and they've got a treadmill in the whirlpool like they do for thoroughbred horses.
Well, these guys are thoroughbreds. 3-2.
Oh, when Jeff Wilpon gave us the tour, I told Jeff, geez, if you had this at Shea, I might have given you 5 more years.
If they'd only know.
5 more good years.
Yeah, but look how many good years you're giving them here.
And he still needs a tub.
This will be the 7th pitch of the at-bat to Kuzminoff. Grounded out to Reyes. And the long toss right on target, 2 away. So after the home run by Gonzalez, Pelfrey gets the next 2. Nick Hundley coming up. First, let's take a look at tonight's Aflac trivia question. Who were the starting pitchers in the first game played at Shea Stadium 45 years ago?
Wow. I think I know the Met one, but not the visitor. Who was the team, by the way, Gary? Who'd they open up with?
They played the Pirates, didn't they?
Well, I'll make a stab. Vernon Law.
Are we answering all these before anyone has a chance this year? Is that what we're doing?
I'm guessing.
Oh, okay. All right.
Don't go by me.
sometimes you think you're guessing, but occasionally, you might have already read it, and it just comes back to you,
Yeah, but that's almost like guessing.
Yeah.
Because he's guessing that he might remember. Luis Rodriguez on deck. 1-1 to Nick Hundley. Pelfrey goes low and away, 2-1.
It was pretty interesting when they were asking Mike before this game the last week, is he going to be excited? He tried to kind of downplay, it's just like a regular start. And then he said, what am I trying to do? Of course I'm going to be excited to pitch the new ballpark.
In the air to right center field. Lots of room out there for Beltran to make the call. And the side retired. So Pelfrey gets the ensuing 3 after the home run by Adrian Gonzalez. Padres have taken Pelfrey deep twice tonight. This one off the foul screen. And the Mets have catching up to do halfway through. It's 5-1.
With who?
Walter Silva looking for his first major league win after pitching 7 years in the Mexican League. By the way, he had a losing record those 7 years in the Mexican League, 30-32. So think about the extraordinary circumstances that have brought him here for the first ever game at Citi Field. Brian Schneider turns on one and yanks it foul deep down the right field side. That right field corner is feeling awfully inviting for the left-hand hitters, isn't it?
It really is.
What is the dimension down there?
330.
330?
Yeah.
Well, that's not, it's not like that's not a small number.
Smaller than 415.
Yeah.
I mean, it was 338 at Shea. It was originally 341 at Shea, and then they put in that inner fence and made it 338.
I remember it well.
Curveball for a strike, 1-2.
Went from Busch Stadium where it was 340 down the lines. Back when I came up, then they brought him in a little bit too. Played in 2 big ballparks.
Well, Busch Stadium when you played was 414 to center field.
414 and 386 in the gaps.
Brian Stokes first man up in the Mets bullpen.
The only bigger gap was in the dome, and that was 396.
Too high to Schneider, 3-2.
That was the dome was just totally unfair.
Well, the dome, the ball also didn't carry ever.
I tell you stories about the dome. When Joe Niekro pitched with knuckleballer, they turned the air conditioning on behind home plate. Look at this guy.
What exactly was that?
They would turn the air conditioning on behind home plate and blow it out towards the mound. So when you throw the knuckleball, it would go into a headwind, and it would knuckle more. I'm telling you, I know. I felt the AC.
I think you're paranoid.
But didn't that also give a boost? A boost when you hit the ball?
Well,
it blew out a little faster.
Did you ever try hitting a knuckleball, Gary?
No, nor do I want to try. Schneider throws a leadoff walk, and the Mets have the first man on in the 5th inning against Silva. Here's your Mets upcoming schedule. Remember, all Mets games on SNY are available in HD, presented by IOTV. Day off tomorrow. Mets will have their welcome home dinner. Ronnie and I will be emceeing.
We are? Can't wait.
Again?
Can't wait.
You are.
Well, because but you can't make that drive again. We got to give you a day off.
And remember, if you're in the car, listen to every Mets game on Sports Radio 66 WFAN. Oh, there's Gary Sheffield out on deck to bat for Mike Pelfrey. That's trying to build something here in the 5th inning, down 5-1. Pelfrey, who went 5 innings in his first start, will go just 5 innings in his second start as Brian Stokes gets ready to relieve him. By the way, our statistician Dave Freed points out Keith hit 3 home runs in the Astrodome.
I know, one off Nolan. 3-run Johnson. That's baseball terminology.
Yes.
2-0 to Castillo, who's driven in the only Met run tonight. He yanked a double into the right field corner.
Mr. Met.
So we saw the guy with the seams on his head outside Citi Field, and now the real Mr. Met. A lot better looking. Castillo taking all the way, 2-1.
Well, Mike Hundley, the catcher, went out to calm down Walter Silva. Got a little up in the strike zone. Leadoff walk to Schneider. Excuse me, Nick.
There's a fastball strike, 2-2 to Castillo. And is that one of those instances where Jerry was talking about Castillo needs to be aggressive and jump on the fastball?
Yeah, you would think that a 2-1 count, you've done your job to get in a hitter's count. I can see taking a 2-0 because you need base runners. But when you get a 2-1 fastball, you want to jump on it, especially, I'll tell you this, for a 32-year-old pitcher to be making his second start. He's smelling his first win. He's got a lead. Sometimes these fifth innings can be so difficult because you want to try to rush your way through it instead of throw your way through it or pitch your way through it.
3-2 and nobody out. Schneider does not go, and Castillo drives one to center, chasing Gerut back, and he runs it down for the first out.
Well, he hit that ball well right there, but this is a big ballpark, and Jody Gerut can track him down.
I was very interested, though. Jody Gerut was playing Castillo very deep. He made that play look easy. Usually the center fielders play Castillo very shallow.
And now Gary Sheffield got a nice hand from the crowd here when he was introduced before the game. Mets have not hit a home run at Citi Field, and Gary Sheffield needs 1 for 500. Could we see a confluence of events?
You know, it's pretty funny. He was asked how big is it for him to get number 500. He said that the most important home run for him was 494, and everyone said why? He goes, I passed Fred McGriff. I had bragging rights in Tampa. That's the one he wanted.
The Tampa record.
He's got a cheat sheet.
Jody Gerut has notes.
Let me see. Sheffield playing him a little bit over towards the Verizon sign.
The Tom Natty.
I've never seen that before.
Never have I. Never. And really playing him basically straight up.
That's a strike to Sheffield.
It's too much information today.
Maybe he went to the Shake Shack. That's his expenses. He's got to expense it after the game.
Gary's had 2 plate appearances, a strikeout and a walk. And the curveball bounced slowly. Kuzminov will go to second and get the force relay by Eckstein. Far too late. So the fielder's choice goes 5-4 for the second out. So Sheffield aboard with 2 down, and Jose Reyes coming up. When this game first began, every seat was filled, and I was wondering whether, unlike the exhibition games last weekend, people would stay put because it's a meaningful game. But as the game has gone on, I see more and more people milling around in the concourses.
Yeah.
Because they're trying to get to know this place, and there's so much to look at and do and eat. And out in center field, it's a non-stop parade of people out there. Look at that.
I tell you what, the food is to die for. The Shake Shack is unbelievable. The El Verano Taqueria, one of the finest tacos I ever had. Floyd out there, the chef. I mean, that is a fine taco.
That's saying something for a guy from San Francisco.
Have you tried the clam and corn chowder at Catch of the Day?
No, I have not.
Outstanding. That's out in right field.
That's Dave Pasternak's place, right? Wow.
2-0 to Reyes, who's 1 for 2 today, and now Silva falls behind 3-0. So Silva needing 1 more out to qualify for a win. Behind on Reyes 3-0 with Murphy waiting on deck.
It almost becomes a little New Orleans or Mardi Gras for the people here, getting to see each other.
And there's ball 4, and so Reyes is on with the walk. And I don't mean to go all Ruth Reichel on you, but Daruma of Tokyo is still in the building here, and our friend Yoshi from Daruma set us up a gorgeous plate of sushi tonight for us to enjoy in the booth.
He is the best.
Here's your Aflac trivia question answer. Keith has already opined. Of course, he was wrong.
Well, it's Mr. Fisher, I think, for the Mets.
Right? Jack, wasn't it?
And a future Met, Bob Friend, made
Bob
the start for the Pirates.
Got a chance to meet Bob Friend last summer at Shea. Was one of my favorite pitchers when I was a kid growing up. I always liked those Pirate teams.
Darren Balsley, the Padre pitching coach, visiting the mound to talk to Walter Silva, who has walked a pair here in the 5th and given the Mets a couple of base runners for Daniel Murphy.
It's a big at-bat for Murphy. I think Silva's had his way with him the first 2 at-bats. Last at-bat broke his bat, of course, coming inside. So if you're Murphy, you've got to feel as though Silva feels like the best way to get him out is inside. Might be a nice time to look inside first pitch.
Murphy's fouled out and flied out 0 for 2. And he takes an off-speed pitch for a strike.
That's that little get-me-over curveball. It's not a good curveball, but you almost automatically get a first pitch strike if you have the ability to throw it over.
2 on and 2 out. Up and into Murphy, and it's 1-1.
And Silva starting to get his fastball up out of the strike zone. Too much out of the strike zone. And you're right about that getting me over curveball. The one pitch I wasn't going to hit first pitch off a right-hander was a backdoor off-speed curve, even if it rolled over the plate.
They play Murphy significantly to left, and he pops one foul. Gerut, center fielder, several strides over into left center. And Headley, the left fielder, well over toward the line.
I think the left field is too shallow, too.
Yes, he is.
Because Murphy's got some power that way. Now it's a disadvantage because it's 1-2, but
you would think they would play Castillo that way, not Murph.
And a big gap in right center field for Murphy as well. 1-2 to Murphy.
Line drive right field, base hit. Sheffield turns third and heads home, bobbled by Giles and Wright. Sheffield scores, Reyes to third. It's an RBI single for Daniel Murphy, and the Mets cut the Padre lead to 5-2.
So now Bud Black has to figure out, do I stay with my 32-year-old rookie who needs one out to qualify for a win?
I'll tell you what, good fastball in. Murph turned right on it. He needed that one. Just Brian Giles there backhanded. It's fortunate it didn't get by him.
Even at that, Reyes took a turn at third and thought about trying to score. Silva will get one more batter. They've got Edward Mujica up in the San Diego bullpen.
Well, 2 outs, crack at the bat, right, Keith?
Yep, he's on his horse. And that's probably why Giles kind of botched that a little bit, because he had to get it in there quick.
David Wright tying run at the plate. Pops the first one foul.
You know what I like to see with Reyes there? That's one of the few times we've seen it. Maybe it's the confidence you haven't raised your shines. No runner looking back over his shoulder at where the ball was. His eyes were intently on Shines. Let me know if I'm coming or going.
There's Razor.
Wright is doubled to right and taken a call third strike, 1 for 2. David has just 1 run batted in through his first 25 at bats after driving in 124 last year. First and third and 2 down. And the curveball knocked down by Hundley. That saved a run.
Nice block by Hundley. Watch him just use his whole body. Down. Glove in front, down on his knees. Chest becomes kind of a concave, rounded, inverted. Nicely done.
Good fundies.
Thank you.
You didn't make the play.
I knew you'd like that. 1-1 to Wright. And David takes a strike.
Well, he struck David out his last at bat, looking on a fastball in ahead in the count. Let's see if he tries to go back in that well.
He went in there around waist high, didn't he, Keith, inside, as Delgado's on deck? I would say with Delgado on deck, this is Mr. Silva's last batter.
1-2 to Wright. Hit in the air, foul down the right field side.
Huge hanger for David right there.
Keep in mind when you're talking about the Padre bullpen, they do not have a left-hander. They've got 8 relief pitchers, 13-man pitching staff, but they're all right-handed. There's Mujica.
These are the new bullpens, folks. They're right there next to each other, the opposing teams. Just a little space in between there.
You have to think against a team like the Mets or the Phillies. It really puts the Padres at a disadvantage when they go to the pen to not have that lefty.
Trying to come in.
1-2. Too high.
Yeah. He had the pitch. He had it set up. A nice throw back to the pitcher. Hundley almost threw it away.
Reyes is at third. Murphy at first with 2 out.
Shades of Mackie Sasser.
Yes.
Mike Ivy. 2-2. Just missed the inside edge. And now a full count to Wright.
Well, tried to double up in and missed. Let's see if he tripled up.
He loves to throw breaking ball 3-2 so far in this game. I think that's what you're going to see as the crowd reacts.
Finally. They're into it.
Murphy will run. 3-2 to David Wright.
Hit in the air to deep left field. Back goes Headley looking up. And it's out of here. David Wright ties the game with a 3-run homer. New Apple, say hello to Citi Field. The first Met home run in their new home. David Wright with his first of the year, and the Mets have tied the game at 5-5.
Curveball right here, down. Oh, hanging. Out of the strike zone. Data just went down and golfed it right out.
Trying to get 3 outs in the 5th for your first win of your career. It's not that easy.
Bud Black stayed one batter too long with his 32-year-old rookie, and now the Padre lead is gone courtesy of David Wright, his first home run of the season. The 3-run shot, and we'll start even. This call to the bullpen brought to you by Lincoln Mercury as Silva takes his exit after 4 2/3, 5-5 ball game.
Join the Mets at Citi Field this Wednesday to celebrate the life and legacy of Jackie Robinson. Call 718-507-TIXX or visit Mets.com to be a part of Jackie Robinson Night.
Brian Stokes takes over the pitching for the Mets as we go to the 6th. Mike Pelfrey taken off the hook by the Mets' 4-run 5th.
Well, Stokes already this year in Cincinnati threw 2 shutout frames, so he is the guy they go to when they want a little length out of that bullpen. His job now to put down these Padres with the Mets with the right momentum.
Luis Rodriguez 0 for 2, scorched a line drive his last time up right at Carlos Delgado. That was in the 3rd. And there's a strike, 1-1. Edgar Gonzalez, Adrian's older brother, has come out on deck to bat for the pitcher Mujica, who threw just 1 pitch and got an out. Remember, the Padres have 8 relievers, so Bud Black not afraid to run them out there one after the other, especially with an off day tomorrow. And Rodriguez takes inside. Luis Rodriguez has always been a part-time player for 3-4 years with the Twins, again with the Padres last year. Now, for the first time, he's been given a starting job with the trade of Khalil Green to St. Louis.
Always been a guy that's been great defensively, but never really has shown he can hit in the major leagues.
Breaking ball by Stokes, 2-2.
2-1 changeup to the leadoff hitter. What a pitch. That's one of those, if you make it and it's a strike, you feel really good. And if it's not a strike, you feel bad that you chose that pitch. But good pitching by Stokes.
He's been working on that changeup because he was a fastball curveball pitcher, so he's trying to develop that pitch.
Fastball driven in the air to deep right field. Back goes Church to the edge of the track. It's off his glove and carrying into the Modell's area. Around second goes Rodriguez. He'll go on to third. Church got back there, got the glove up, but couldn't make the play, and Rodriguez winds up on third.
I got to wonder about the swirl here. He's there to make the play, and it just ticks his glove.
Off the side of the glove on the thumb area.
It's almost like he felt that ball was working its way towards center field, but then straightened out.
How they rule that, Gare?
I assume they're going to score that a triple. In any event, the Padres have the lead run at third base and nobody out, and the Mets will have to bring the infield in with the pinch hitter Edgar Gonzalez coming up, and watch out for the squeeze play. Well, they're scoring at an error. A tough error. So an error on Church, runner at third, nobody out, and a breaking ball in for a strike. Edgar Gonzalez, who played a lot of second base for the Padres last year, had languished in the minor leagues for a decade before the Padres gave him an opportunity last year, teaming with his younger brother on the right side of the infield. Castillo and Reyes playing about halfway at second and short.
reason I think that you would not, as you see Pedro Feliciano warm up, have the squeeze play here as Dan Warthen's going to come out to talk to Brian Stokes, is because of Jody Gerut's up next. He's having a career night, and you'd hate to take that runner off third base by not performing the squeeze play.
And that's also why I believe Jerry's bringing the infield in, because it's the perfect situation to bring in Feliciano with Gerut and Giles hitting third and Gonzalez. And if he gets the out, you know, you can pitch around Eckstein, hope for a double play.
Yeah, if you bring in Feliciano at any point in this game, it has to be in an inning where Gonzalez is going to bat. You can't.
Yes.
I mean, it's one thing to bring him in to get Gerut, but Gonzalez is the guy who scares you the most. Meanwhile, it's 2-1 to Edgar Gonzalez with Rodriguez at third and nobody out. 5-5, top of the sixth. Mets were down 5-1 before a 4 spot in the bottom of the fifth. Mets trying to avoid the give back. Gonzalez bounces one to right, and the runner will have to hold. One away. So there's a big out for Brian Stokes.
Well, as a hitter, boy, you have to get that run in. And we'll see what Jerry plans to do here.
So here's Gerut, who's had a huge night. Led off the ball game with a home run into the right field corner. Then he doubled to center field in the second and drew a walk in the fourth. He's also made a nice catch up against the center field fence and thrown out a runner at second base. It's been a full day's work for Jody Gerut. The top 4 hitters in the Padres batting order tonight are 6 for 11 with 2 homers and 5 RBIs. Well, here's Jerry on his way out. So he's going to bring in Feliciano. So you have to figure this is going to be a 4-batter appearance at least for Feliciano. You got Gerut, then the right-hand hitting Eckstein, and then the 2 other lefties, Giles and Adrian Gonzalez. So Feliciano will come on here in the 6th inning to try and get the Mets out of a jam. Mets and Padres tied at 5 the first night at Citi Field.
Gary Apple back in our Midtown studios. Phillies and the Nationals tied at 7, tied at 4 in the 7th, but not for long. That's Ryan Howard and say goodbye, his first home run of the year. Phils get the win 9-8. The Nationals are now 0-7, only winless team in the majors.
All right, Gary, and Pedro Feliciano comes on to pitch for the Mets in the 6th.
Off to a little rough start, but remember last year set a club record and led the National League with 86 appearances. Old record was Mike Stanton.
Comes on to face Jody Gerut, who gets out of the way of that inside breaking ball.
Now you got to beware of a squeeze play with one out, the left-hand hitter here in Gerut. You can put the squeeze on.
Especially with that lefty-lefty matchup, is that what you're saying?
Yep. Rodriguez the runner at third, and Gerut fouls it off 1-1. Jody Gerut, the Stanford product, now 31 years old, broke in with a bang with Cleveland in 03, then went through all sorts of knee problems before resurfacing with the Padres last year and had a huge comeback season. If Fernando Tatis hadn't been around, Gerut might have been comeback player of the year with Sean Green up in the Mets bullpen. 1-1 to Gerut. Bounce slowly. Delgado coming in. The runner is holding, and Delgado tags out Gerut for the second out. I thought Rodriguez might break as slowly as that ball was hit, but he stayed planted at third.
I thought they'd have a contact play on there with one out, Ronnie, but did not. This is a slow roller. If it's contact, he scores, or it's a close play.
Ooh, Gerut got hit right in the chin by Delgado's tag.
He was going to go, but he wasn't on contact.
That's awful nice play by Delgado, too, closing the gap and being very aggressive coming after that ball. That might have been one of the reasons why Rodriguez did not take off from third.
Well, it would have forced Delgado to throw on the run in order to get him and a tag at home. So here's Eckstein with the Mets now with a chance to get out of this jam. Padres had a runner at third and nobody out. Now they're at 2 down, and Eckstein takes a changeup for a strike.
Well, it was Eckstein's 2-out hit that really hurt Pelfrey his last time at bat.
Eckstein 2 for 3 tonight. Single to center in the first, double down the left field line to drive in a pair in the second. And he swings and bounces it foul.
And I think that got his bat. That broke his bat, the hard slider on his hands.
Eckstein waiting for a new stick from the bat boy, and Feliciano now ahead 0-2. Mets rallied to tie this game with 4 in the bottom of the 5th. The 3-base error charge to Church put a runner at third and nobody out, and now Feliciano 1 strike away from getting the Mets through the inning unscathed. They were dominant against the lefties last season, but facing the right-hander here in Eckstein. You got 2 lefty bats behind him in Giles and Gonzalez. 0-2 off the corner, 1-2. There's Giles waiting on deck.
Playing very shallow Carlos Beltran in center field, shaded to right. Eckstein, not a lot of power. Church in tight.
Playing like a pitcher. Pulled foul. Got way around that, hit it up on the promenade. That promenade deck, the highest deck here at Citi Field, is about as high as the mezzanine, which was the 2nd highest deck at Shea. It's amazing how much closer the top of the stadium is to the field than in the old park. Nobody ever hit a ball on the upper deck at Shea. Well, maybe once in a while. 1-2, fastball away, and now it's 2-2 to Eckstein.
This is going to be a tough out right here. This young man is Eckstein. I shouldn't say young man. Young man, he's a veteran. He's a short stroke, tough guy to strike out. Line drive hitter.
Walter Silva still looking on. 2-2 to Eckstein. And the changeup missed. 3-2.
Interesting, throwing 3 changeups now to Eckstein. We showed that number. Righty's hitting .357 against Pedro last year. He has developed that pitch to try to get that number down, using that little fadeaway changeup to the right-handed hitter.
Well, he wanted the slider in. He was coming the fastball away. Changeup. Yeah, it's time to step out. Pitcher starts shaking.
And a balk is called on Feliciano. He and Schneider couldn't get together on the signs. He stepped off awkwardly. Bruce Dreckman, the home plate umpire, signals balk, and the Padres take a 6-5 lead.
Well, these are the things that'll happen when you're shaking off and you go through all the signs. Sometimes you get a little antsy, as you can see, a little flinch. Just lift it up just a tiny bit.
Hit to left field, a base hit for Eckstein. That'll go to the wall. So after committing the balk, Feliciano may have let down, and now Eckstein follows with a double, and he's on second with 2 out for Giles. A revolting development for Feliciano as his balk has put the Padres in the lead 6-5.
You always want to see the pitcher. He's in a crouch. Does he move at all? See that little movement?
Yep.
All it was coming up. He didn't know whether he wanted to get up and step off or whether he wanted to go with that pitch, and that little in-between movement cost the Mets a run.
And Eckstein called it before the home plate umpire did. Now Giles hits one to shortstop. Reyes plays the hop, throws out Giles, inning over, but an error on Church, a balk on Feliciano produce a go-ahead run, and the Padres lead 6-5. New York Mets baseball on SNY is brought to you by Budweiser, the great American lager. We go to the bottom of the 6th inning, 6-5 Padres. We've already had one famous pitcher on tonight, Tom Seaver. Now Kevin Burkhardt standing by with another, Nuke LaLoosh.
Indeed it is, Nuke. Tim Robbins is a huge Met fan, as we all know, guys. And, well, what do you like most about the new ballpark, Tim?
I like the outfield fence, how there's all these different ways to get triples. You know, if it hits the wrong way, it's kind of a confusing, eccentric outfield fence. Also, of course, the restaurants and the ambience, the cleanliness so far, and, you know, it's great to be here.
I like the cleanliness so far. So there's a time limit on that, is what you're saying.
I did notice that there's already cats, so.
That is true. You were telling...
I'm hoping that's a good omen for the season there.
It worked, at least with the right home run. You were telling me an interesting story while we were sitting watching the game about a special memory for you in the '69 series. Can you just retell that you were at Game 5?
I was at Game 5. They won it on my birthday. All right. We won it on my birthday, October 16th, 1969. My mom had come out. She'd gotten up at like 4 in the morning, come out in the 7 train to get tickets for one of the games. Happened to get Game 5. Came when my grandmother was sitting up in row U in the upper deck and saw them win the World Series. And my 11th birthday was something that told me that anything is possible in life.
That's pretty good. That's pretty good dedication from your mom to get the tickets, and then you coming with your grandmother, which is special.
I remember that moment when I was about to hop over onto the field to tear it up with the rest of the thousands of people, and I looked back at my grandmother and she said, "Please, no."
The evil eye did you in, huh? We know you're a huge fan. So what's your feeling on the team? I know it's early, but.
Well, I like what the new bullpen looks like, and I'm hoping for the best with that. I want to start winning games 10-2. You know, I just want to start the slaughters. You know, let's let the slaughters begin.
By the way, I want to mention that, guys, Tim will be voicing a documentary on SNY on those 69 Mets, and that'll be upcoming. You have fun doing that?
Yeah, it was fun. It had some good footage on it. It's going to be a good one.
All right, Tim, thanks for the time, okay?
My pleasure, Kevin.
All right, guys, back to you.
All right, thanks very much to Kevin and to Tim. Carlos Beltran leading off the inning with a hard-hit single to right, so the Mets have the tying run at first with nobody out in the 6th. Ryan Church has walked and grounded out 0 for 1, now facing Edwin Moreno, 28-year-old rookie from Venezuela, misses high 2-1.
He spent all of the year last year in Double-A, San Antonio, Portland in Triple-A, made 60 appearances, made his Major League debut on the 7th of April. You can see so far, so good for young Moreno.
Been through the Rangers and Phillies organizations, getting a chance with the equal opportunity Padres. 2-1 to Church, misses high, so Moreno, after giving up the base hit to Beltran, now behind Church 3-1. We mentioned it earlier, the Padres had 46 different pitchers participate in Major League exhibition games for Bud Black this spring, so they had a wide open camp. And they've got some people in that bullpen that you've never heard of, including this guy, Moreno.
And so far, the starters and the relievers have been pitching at the top of the league.
They had the #1 ERA in the league coming into tonight. And Church takes what he thought was a high pitch.
Wow.
That Bruce Dreckman says is a strike, 3-2.
Well, let's take a peek. I thought it was, well, that's high. It's letter high, and that's a strike. But they don't call it anymore.
Yeah.
Three and 2 to Church with nobody on. He steps out on Moreno with Brian Schneider on deck.
Well, that's the hard part, is that you're right, Keith. They don't call that pitch anymore. That's why Church took it.
Well, that hasn't been a strike in a long time.
68.
Beltran runs 3-2. Popped up. Eckstein retreating, and so is Beltran. And so Church retired, 1 away.
That's where a hitter gets hot at the umpire, don't you, Keith? You know, you figure you worked a walk, took the right pitches, took a nice at bat, calls a strike to get you a 3-2, and a pop-up get you screaming from the bench, won't it?
There's the other side of the coin, where umpire does that. In the next pitch, you get a double, drive a couple runs.
Right.
Thank you.
But are there guys who get distracted by a call like that, where the next pitch becomes more difficult?
Of course, and it's usually the young players. You got to let it go, and you got to focus. And there's been times when I've had a bad call made on me that was made at 3-2. And I've lost focus, but you're at a very minimum. Very minimal. There's always, you get upset, you say your piece, but the game at hand, the at bat at hand, get refocused.
Yeah, like most things, the better the player, the less the distraction.
Castillo on deck. He has had a good night's swing in the bat so far, has driven the ball twice. Schneider at the plate is 0 for 1. Reached on a force play and scored from first on a double by Castillo back in the 2nd. Then he walked, leading off in the 5th. Flares one foul down the left side. It's 1-1.
Not a whole lot of foul territory here. Most of the foul territory is right around the first and third base dugouts. That seems to be the most foul territory. Not much behind home plate. Not much, certainly not much down the lines.
Home plate to the backstop is 45 feet. That's the closest in the major leagues. And it's a brick wall back there.
And as a hitter, you love having this kind of foul territory because obviously you get a chance.
Of course, the other piece of that is on a wild pitch, that ball can come hard back to the catcher. And especially with a runner at third, you have to be very wary about taking off. 1-1 to Schneider. Popped it up in foul ground. Who's going to get it? Kuzminov calls. 2 out. So after the leadoff base hit by Beltran, Moreno induces a couple of pop-ups. Castillo coming up. Be sure to visit the official online shop of the Mets at Mets.com. Browse the largest selection of authentic team gear, including clubhouse caps and t-shirts, jerseys, collectibles, and more. Get your team gear straight from the source. Shop the Mets.com shop. So now Castillo, who yanked a double into the right field corner to drive in a run in the second, and then drove the ball to right center field, and Gerut went back and got it in the 5th.
Good time to try to steal the base here with 2 outs. If you get thrown out, you've got Castillo leading off the next inning. And if you're successful, Castillo has a shot to drive you in, or if they opt to walk.
Jeremy Reed has come out on deck to pinch hit for Feliciano.
And remember, there's no left-hander in that Padre bullpen, so Moreno would pitch to Castillo if Beltran steals second.
And Castillo takes a strike. One other thing to remember with Reed on deck to bat for Feliciano, if that comes to pass, Adrian Gonzalez is due to lead off in the next inning for the Padres, and he'd love to keep Feliciano in to face him. But Sean Green up in the bullpen in case Jerry needs to pinch hit, and that's the downside of having just one lefty in the pen like the Mets do. Pitch out, but Beltran's not going. 1-1.
So Bud Black, manager of the San Diego Padres, former teammate of mine in Cleveland, one of the good guys, former pitcher, starting pitcher. He's thinking along those same lines we're thinking up here. There's Buddy. Really a good man.
One, low and inside. Remember when Bud pitched in San Francisco and they had a catcher named Steve Decker?
That's right.
And they had the battery of Black and Decker.
That's right. Well, it just shows you they had 46 pitchers in camp. The dearth of left-handed relievers they must have had, because when you're looking at the schedule, you think got to have a lefty. Early in the season, they're coming all the way to the East Coast. They face the Mets and the Philadelphia Phillies.
2-1 to Castillo, and he watches low, ball 3. So Jeremy Reed may get himself a crack here. 3-1 to Castillo.
This will drive your manager crazy here, nursing a 1-run lead in the middle innings.
And these are the spots now where you want Castillo to swing the bat.
Yes, he was automatic taking 3-1 last season.
Let's see whether the message has gotten through if he gets a fat one here on 3-1. And he takes high and tight, ball 4. And so the Mets have 2 men on. A 2-out walk to Castillo, and now Jeremy Reed will get his first Citi Field plate appearance with the tying run at second base.
Well, Jeremy got a big pinch hit in that game in Miami against the Marlins, tied the game up in the 9th inning, the game that Mets went on to lose in the bottom half. Just, you know, when your catcher's calling for a fastball in on Castillo at 3-1 and setting up in. Has the game changed that much? At some point, Castillo has no power. You can't trust your fastball enough to throw it down the middle. There's no need to call a pitch in or out, right?
I agree.
Let's go.
Jody Gerut again consulting his defensive chart in his pocket against Jeremy Reed. 2 on and 2 out. Mets down by a run, and he pours one in for a strike.
Those Stanford guys, they got it all figured out, don't they?
They're supposed to be able to remember. I mean, what did he do when he had to pick up a blue book?
Oh, geez, don't go there.
0-1 to Reed. Moreno holding a long time, and Reed swings and misses at the fastball.
A good up and in fastball. Good beat him inside here. Let him off with a change and up. Oh, a little cutter. Saw a little circle on that ball, RJ. That's a good pitch. Good cutter.
Mets are 2 for 4 with runners in scoring position tonight, but now Reed finds himself in an 0-2 hole against the 28-year-old rookie Moreno. Off the fists of foul ball.
Well, this was the first game of the series. That was off Mr. Lindstrom, the hard-throwing Matt Lindstrom. And that tied the ball game right there in the top of the ninth. You can see his reaction.
2 out top of the ninth, his first hit as a Met. Now Reed trying to fight from behind. He drew a walk as a pinch hitter yesterday in Florida against Josh Johnson in the 8th inning. 0-2, up and away, 1-2.
You see Jeremy Reed, it almost makes you think about, of course, in the trade. Andy Chavez has got off to a quick start for the Seattle Mariners. Ichiro Suzuki, of course.
on the DL to start the season. Endy getting plenty of playing time. He's been fantastic.
He may be playing every day in left field all year.
Well,
Marin is off to a surprising 5-2 start.
We love Endy, you know that.
1-2 to Reed. Off the fist, over the mound, tough play. In comes Rodriguez, can't make the bare hand play, and the bases are loaded. Right off the handle into no man's land, and Reed has an infield hit to load the bases for Reyes.
Well, that's getting sawed off right there.
That's a splinter parade right there.
Mix in some peanut butter with that jam.
So a big opportunity for the Mets to tie or take the lead. Mets have been behind most of the night. They briefly tied it on Wright's 3-run homer in the 5th. Now down 6-5. Bases loaded, 2 down for Reyes, who has a single and a walk tonight, 1 for 2. And he takes the changeup for ball 1. Beltran the tying run at third. Castillo the lead run at second. And Reed at first with 2 out. Good speed all the way around, especially with the guy at the plate.
Oh,
good pitch by Moreno. 1-1.
Well, out of the strike zone, but Jose being aggressive here, looking for a 1-0 fastball. Didn't get it. The bottom dropped out. Pretty good pitch.
Split or a slider?
I think that was the change up there.
Just a little sinking change.
I do think this would be a wonderful time for Mr. Reyes' first triple this season, wouldn't it?
Glenn Hoffman, the only Hoffman left with the Padres. 1-1. Swing and a miss. Another off-speed pitch. 1-2.
Wow, he got a good little sinker with that changeup.
You know, to me, it's almost like a screwball, Keith. Just
wow.
Late movement.
He's made 2 tough pitches on Jose here.
So now Reyes has to be defensive behind in the count. 1-2. Hits it to left field. Headley was playing shallow. That was the place to be. Side retired. So Moreno works himself into and out of trouble, and the Mets are a run shy. Nighttime at Citi Field. Look at that sight. What a beautiful place. We go to the 7th. 6-5 Padres. New York Mets baseball on SNY is brought to you by Gallagher Steakhouse, home of sports heroes past and present in Broadway's Theater District at West 52nd Street since 1927. And by Bob's Discount Furniture. Bob's Discount Furniture is America's #1 furniture retailer of the year and the official furniture store of the New York Mets. I just love saving money, don't you? Sean Green, the 4th Met pitcher of the night as we go to the 7th.
He worked on Friday night in Florida. Was touched for 1 run, but struck out 3 in his inning of work.
4th appearance for Green in the first 7 games of the year, and he goes up against slugging Adrian Gonzalez, who hit one off the right field foul screen in the 5th inning for his 2nd home run of the year. And Gonzalez lifts this one to the left side. That'll go out of play. Mike Pelfrey went the first 5 innings, allowed 5 runs and 8 hits, walked 2, struck out 3. Mets got him off the hook on Wright's 3-run homer. Brian Stokes charged with an unearned run in his 3rd of an inning, and that's the difference in the game right now. Stokes is on the hook. Pedro Feliciano committed the balk that brought home that run in his 2/3 of an inning. Right back to Green. Nice grab on the backhand. 1 away.
Well, Sean Green came over from Seattle in that big trade with the retooled bullpen with J.J. Putz, excuse me.
Just remember, puts out the fire. Here's Chase Headley 0 for 2, and he takes ball 1.
I think of Foots.
Okay.
So did I blow it? I did, didn't I?
No.
Is that $10 fine?
You were borderline. Yeah.
Headley, the switch hitter, takes low and inside, 2-0.
Well,
Clay Meredith threw 2 fences.
Believe it or not, that's him back there. Looks like Artie Johnson and laughing.
In the weeds. Very interesting. And that's off the corner, and now Green behind 3-0. And we walked him on 4 pitches. So Green issues a 1-out walk, and Kevin Kuzminoff will come to bat. I would presume that in the dugouts they have a better view of this than we do.
Sometimes they have those TVs, right? I thought the wall came down. They're in the Reagan administration.
Well, Sean Green will take on Kevin Kuzminoff with a man on. Kuzminoff 1 for 3, singled back in the 3rd. And that's 5 in a row out of the strike zone for Mr. Green. Headley not blessed with much speed at first base. And now Green having trouble getting anything in the strike zone, and Schneider will head out to see if he can be of some assistance. Check out SNY.TV for highlights, interviews, and analysis of tonight's game from us in the booth and on Lincoln Mercury Postgame Extra. After every Mets game, only on SNY.TV, your online home of all things New York sports.
They're not going to analyze our work in the booth, are they? They're going to analyze the game.
No, we're going to analyze the game. And there's a strike finally from Green, 2-1.
That was DeJuan Sanchez up there in the bullpen. We got a shot there through the
How can you
through
tell?
the barbed wire.
You can see the goggles.
The goggles.
It's the reflection off the goggles. By the way, DeJuan's pitched very well so far. 3-1 now. Mets let him go in spring training. Padres snatched him up, and he's given the Padres a couple of scoreless efforts. And DeJuan was introduced to the crowd before the game today. It was very interesting, the reaction to the former Mets when they were introduced for the Padres tonight. 3 former Mets were introduced almost right in a row. Swing and a miss, 3-2. First it was Heath Bell.
He took a beating.
Well, he's had some awfully negative things to say about his New York experience. Then Cliff Floyd. Cliff got a huge ovation. There's Cliff, who's on the disabled list. And then DeJuan Sanchez, who got mostly a negative, but some positive as well. 3-2 to Kuzminoff, hit weakly to short. In comes Reyes. He'll have to go to first. And he gets Kuzminoff for the second out as Headley moves up to second. But Cliff got a rousing ovation.
He did.
He certainly deserved it. Not only played valiantly as a Met, but one of the nicest people who has ever come through these parts.
Well, he's starting to hit now, so they think he's going to be off the DL soon.
Here's Nick Hundley, who's 0 for 3, struck out twice and fly to center, 0 for 3. Hundley, the 25-year-old catcher, he's going to play most days. Henry Blanco is their backup, and Bud Black has installed Blanco, the veteran, as Jake Peavy's personal catcher. We'll see Peavy here on Thursday night. And when Peavy pitched the other day, Blanco, in support, hit a couple of home runs, which is not really his forte. But the 25-year-old Hundley is the everyday guy. Headley at second with 2 down. 7th inning, 6-5 San Diego. And the breaking ball strike from Green, 0-2. Luis Rodriguez on deck.
Well, the Mets will enjoy an off day tomorrow after this home opener and come back to action on Wednesday night.
Oliver Perez will pitch the Wednesday game against the former Giant Kevin Correa.
This copyrighted telecast is presented by the authority of the Sterling Mets and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form, and the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of Sterling Mets.
Isn't he good at that?
Very professional.
Well,
I feel for you, Gary. You got to read all that copy all the time. they're going to cut you some slack.
Well, that's now 3 times you've read that, and you've gotten more authoritative each time. You sound almost like a lawyer. Breaking ball fouled off.
See what he charges an hour.
Outrageous. Silk stocking firms. Green ahead on Hundley 0-2, and he got him. Struck him out with the sinker. First strikeout for Sean Green. A hitless inning for Green. 7th inning stretch time at Citi Field. 6-5 Padres. An historic night in Flushing as the gates open at Citi Field. 41,800 making their way into the Mets' beautiful new home, the F-18 Hornets, with the flyover before the game, a football field-sized American flag. And the 2 guys who closed down Shea open up Citi Field as Tom Terrific threw a strike. And now the Mets trying to fight from behind and gain a win in their first ever game in their new ballpark. Down 6-5 as we go to the bottom of the 7th. One of the great features of this ballpark is the Jackie Robinson Rotunda, where Kevin Burkhardt is standing by. Kevin?
Well, Gary, this is one of the features you won't see from our in-game cameras, but we're showing you a little bit here, starting with the giant number 42, Jackie's number, his footprints in the 4, that big size 14. A lot of people put their feet in there. They didn't realize he had that size of a cleat, and just really an unbelievable, awe-inspiring dedication to the man, Jackie Robinson. There are his ideals all on this terrazzo floor and all around the outside of this room. On the top of the room, there are big screen TVs with highlights of Jackie's career, the old Brooklyn Dodger days, and some really neat highlights. I've been watching the footage of that out here as you see it on your screen. When the gates opened, this place was absolutely mobbed, and the line to take pictures by the 42 was just insane. Now, a lot of people just kind of milling around. They're looking up at the ceiling. They're checking out the inscriptions and things like that. You also have the Mets team store off to the side of this, but you have stairways up to the different levels, the main field level. This is the main entrance of the park, and I think the thing that's nice is, guys, what's different, Shea never really had a main entrance. This, you come off the 7 train, a nice walkway leads you right here, and this is basically where everyone comes in the ballpark, and this is what you see. A tribute, and a great one, to Jackie Robinson, with the dedication, by the way, which should be fantastic on Wednesday night. Guys, back to you.
All right, thanks, Kevin. It is a marvelous entrance way, and with all the meaning attached to it, and Jackie Robinson's influence not only on baseball but on American society, a tremendous and well-placed tribute. As Daniel Murphy leads off the bottom of the 7th, breaks his bat and scoots one foul, and it's 0-2.
See more and more of those bats just getting shaved right down the middle. Watch the barrel of this bat, just there it goes. See so much of that today.
Murphy drove in a run, singling to right in the 5th, 1 for 3. Edwin Moreno pitching his 2nd inning, and he misses high, 1-2. David Wright on deck, and then Carlos Delgado as the Mets try and fight from a run down in the bottom of the 7th. David already with a double and a 3-run homer tonight. 1-2 to Murphy. Struck him out, breaking ball in the dirt, and Hundley makes the toss for the first out. Last time up in the 5th, Mets were down 5-2 when David Wright came to the plate.
Well, got that 3-2 breaking ball down and didn't get it away enough, and David made him pay.
Ruined Walter Silva's night. He had a chance to qualify for a win. That tied up the ball game. It was the end of Silva's night, and David hitting the first Met home run at Citi Field. He doubled back in the 1st inning, so he's 2 for 3. And he takes off the corner for Moreno, 1-0. J.J. Putz up in the Mets bullpen, ready to pitch the 8th inning. And David drives one to center field. Gerut going back near the warning track, appears to have room, and he reels it in. So David Wright going straight away, and the ballpark big enough to hold it, 2 out.
Well, Delgado did the same his last at bat in the 5th inning, hit a ball to center field much like that. And as we said, this is all a feel out for us, a new ballpark. We're checking the wind patterns. This is playing a big park here in April here.
Delgado is 0 for 3 tonight. Grounded out, struck out, flied out, and again they'll put on the severe overshift against him with 2 out and nobody on. Mets with 5 runs and 7 hits tonight. The Padres 6 runs, 9 hits, and a strike to Delgado. Carlos with 470 major league home runs, including 1 this year. That monstrous shot he hit in Cincinnati. Fouls that one away, and it's 0-2.
Boy, missed the pitch there, didn't he? Down and in. Pretty good cutter, though. I thought it got a little cutter down and put a little something extra on it. Let's take a peek here. Little cutter, good spot, Ronnie.
That's right. It's off the plate.
Yep. Tough pitch.
Hundley with that very low target. Delgado swipes one foul.
You see the catcher right there. He threw right to the glove. He was happy with that. See if they go up and in now to Carlos. You got to be very careful here. So one of the most dangerous hitters in baseball today. Extremely strong. 38 bombs last year after a bad start.
In there for a call, strike 3. Ran it over the inside corner. Delgado down looking. Moreno gets the Mets 1-2-3, striking out a pair. Big inning for Moreno in just his 4th major league appearance. Still 6-5 Padres.
Wednesday at 6:30, the Mets continue their first Citi Field homestand as they take on Adrian Gonzalez and the Padres here at Citi Field. Mets Padres coverage begins with KFC pregame live Wednesday at 6:30 p.m. only on SNY. And there are your Chivas probable starters. Oliver Perez will go up against Kevin Correa on Wednesday night, and then John Maine against the Padres ace Jake Peavy on Thursday night. And the Brewers come in for the weekend. Luis Rodriguez leads off the 8th against J.J. Putz, and Putz misses for ball 1.
Well, J.J. was an all-star in 2007 when he recorded 40 saves. Hurt for much of the season last year, but has done an outstanding job so far. You can see by the numbers.
Now his 4th outing for the Mets. Last pitch Friday night against the Marlins. Pitched a scoreless inning, and he falls behind Rodriguez 2-0. Rodriguez hit the fly ball to deep right center that Ryan Church tracked but did not catch. It went off the thumb of his glove and was scored an error. Rodriguez wound up on 3rd and scored on a balk by Pedro Feliciano, and that right now is the difference in the game. The pitcher's spot due up next, and Everth Cabrera has come out on deck to be a pinch hitter. Now it's 3-0 on Rodriguez. Luis Perdomo, yeah, I know you haven't heard of any of these guys. Neither have we. He's up in the bullpen for the Padres. There's Cabrera. And Rodriguez takes ball 4, so Putz, unable to throw a strike, walks the leadoff hitter in the 8th inning. Let's check in with the studio. Chris Carlin, New York State Smokers Quit Line game break.
All right, Dodgers hosting the Giants. 6th inning, Dodgers up 7-1. Orlando Hudson in need of a triple to hit for the cycle, sends one into the corner out in right field. He becomes the first player to hit for the cycle in Dodger Stadium history. 11-1 the final. Dodgers win.
Apologizing to Gary Apple. That wasn't Chris Carlin.
No, that was Mr. Apple.
Was indeed. Dan Worthen out to the mound to talk things over with Putz before he takes on Everth Cabrera. Last year, Everth Cabrera was playing for the Asheville Tourists in A-ball.
Tourists.
He was in the Rockies organization, taken by the Padres in the Rule 5 draft, and made the club. And of course, they've got to keep him all year or offer him back. Juaner Sanchez, the former Met, up in the bullpen getting ready to pitch the 8th, and then presumably the other former Met, Heath Bell, in the 9th if the Padres still have the lead. So 22-year-old Everth Cabrera, a native of Nicaragua, country that's produced a few big league ball players, most notably Dennis Martinez, El Presidente. And up there to bunt, Cabrera fouls it off, 0-1. Not too many guys go from Asheville straight to the majors.
Yeah. Well, Walt Terrell, who came over in the trade with me for Lee Mazzilli, he was an Asheville tourist.
Wright playing it close at 3rd, expecting the bunt from Cabrera. 8th inning, 6-5 San Diego. They bid for some insurance. with the hot-hitting Jody Gerut on deck. And Cabrera pops it up and grabs it. One away. Rodriguez sliding back into first. So Everett Cabrera unable to get the bunt down, and that's the first out of the inning.
Well, you're sent up there to get a runner over and a sacrifice, and that's the worst possible scenario right there.
It's pretty amazing, isn't it? Guys that have speed and are good at laying the bunt down for a hit aren't always the best at getting a sacrifice bunt down because they are in between.
Adrian Gonzalez, very much a leader on this team. Remember, you saw him consoling Silva when he came out and doing the same there with Cabrera.
Like to see that.
So here's Jody Gerut, a home run and a double tonight. Led off the game with a home run against Mike Pelfrey. 1 on and 1 out. And Gerut takes a strike at the knees. By the way, you know who's also from Nicaragua? Porfi Altamirano.
You like those names.
Oh, that's a great name.
You take pride in the proper pronunciation.
Well, I can't tell you it's perfect, but it feels good to say Porfi Altamirano. Last year, the Padres beat the Mets 5 out of 7, and they were all tight. Remember, they won 3 straight 2-1 games from the Mets in San Diego in sweeping a 4-game series. In the dirt, Schneider can't find it. Finally locates it, and thinking about third base is Rodriguez, but he'll hold on there. So the wild pitch moving the runner up.
Well, the split finger here in the dirt. Schneider looking for that splitter on the outside corner, and it looked like it kind of sailed in. Ronnie, he had the backhand. It didn't get the body in front. Caught him by surprise.
Well, very rarely do you see a catcher get hit in the back by a ball that's bounced in there.
So now runner in scoring position with 1 out. A 1-1 count to Gerut with David Eckstein on deck. Grounded down to Delgado. Putz gets over to cover. Stumble there. Rodriguez over to third, 2 out.
Well, what happens is Delgado gives him the real early toss. He gets it early, and it kind of threw his timing off as he tries to do that stutter step, really put his left knee out there and almost hyperextended it. Now, the correct play with a runner on second base, if you're the pitcher, as soon as you touch first, you wheel around and check that runner at third base because you don't want him to try to get a surprise run on you.
So now Rodriguez is on third with 2 away. And David Eckstein has had a huge night, 3 for 4, a pair of doubles. He's driven in 2 runs. He was at the plate when Rodriguez was balked home with the go-ahead run. In fact, he called it before Bruce Dreckman did.
David Wright playing in. He's a great bunter, drag bunter.
And Eckstein takes low ball 1.
David Eckstein is like a gnat, a pest. It's one of those guys that he's just a winning player. He's good with 2 strikes. He puts the ball in play. He's already got 2 out hits, 1 a big double down the left field line to score 2, and here a chance to hurt the Mets again.
Chokes way up on that bat. And he takes a strike at the knees, 1-1.
Well, that's the beauty of baseball. You don't have to be a big fella to play this game. You know, basketball, if you're 5'8", you haven't got a chance. If you're football and you weigh 160, 70 pounds, you haven't got a chance. Baseball, you've got a chance to be a star.
You haven't been watching Nate Robinson, have you? 1-1 to Eckstein. Foul back. A big hack at that, 1-2.
Good up and in fastball out of the strike zone.
Wasn't a great year for Eckstein last year. Started out with Toronto and then traded at the deadline to Arizona, where he really struck.
And I think he's going to have a good year this year because they've moved him to second base. I think his lack of arm strength made shortstop a moot point. I don't think he can play there anymore. Second base is a better option.
Of course, there were a lot of people who never thought he could play shortstop, thought he didn't have the arm for it. But he proved them wrong again and again. Puts ahead of Eckstein now, 1-2. Fouled it away. David Eckstein now 34 years old. Guy who couldn't even make the University of Florida team as a walk-on as a freshman. They wouldn't take him. But they let him use the batting cage, and he hit, and he hit, and he hit, and he made himself into a player.
He was the original Dustin Pedroia, wasn't he, before the MVP from last season?
1-2 from Putz. Fouled away. Eckstein stays in there.
He was the MVP of that World Series when the Angels beat the San Francisco Giants.
Two fastballs upstairs to Eckstein, way up the ladder. Makes me think 1 and 2. He's going to throw one downstairs to split her down. We'll see.
Have to have faith in your catcher with a runner at third. 1-2. Flared it foul. And that's got to be something psychologically that a pitcher has got to get past when he has a splitter, right?
Well, you have to trust your catcher that, you know, when you're ahead in the count, that you can throw the ball in the dirt. And a lot of times what happens is Putz has such a great forkball, it's hard to read as a catcher, but you have to anticipate that the ball is going to be in the dirt. Be ready for it.
Seventh pitch of the at-bat to Eckstein. Up high with the fastball. So he's staying upstairs. 2-2.
Ronnie, you had the great luxury of pitching to one of the great defensive catchers.
Yes.
And Gary Carter, who, by the way, was hired by Bud Harrelson to be the manager of the Long Island Ducks this summer.
And I used to bounce that split finger, and it would eat him up, but he always kept it in front.
Gary was like Bjorn Borg on the baseline.
2-2. Another foul ball. Boy, this is a great turn at bat for Eckstein as he keeps on wasting those fastballs away.
You know, we tend to forget also that Putz has a very good slider. That's an option also against the right-handed hitting Eckstein. You could use that good slider off the plate. Started like a fastball on the outside corner, bend it away.
The ninth pitch of the at-bat upcoming to Eckstein with Rodriguez at third and 2 out. Off the corner, and it's 3-2. It's quite a marathon.
It's a battle.
You got the left-hand hitter Brian Giles waiting on deck. 6-5 San Diego, 8th inning.
Splitter, you know, he shook him off, wants the fastball away.
3-2 to Eckstein. Outside, ball 4, and Eckstein works a walk. A 10-pitch walk as Eckstein fights from behind and has walked his second of the inning.
What an at-bat by Eckstein. He is just one of those guys that you think you should be able to handle, but he just outlasts you.
Well, he's got the short stroke, tough to strike out. And now you got to deal with Giles, who's off to a tough start. Got a blooper in there in that second inning that scored a run.
Giles just 5 for 30 to begin the year. 38 years old now. First and third and 2 down. Putz trying to keep the Padres off the board in the 8th. The 5th Met pitcher of the night. And Giles takes a slider for a strike. Rodriguez is on third. Eckstein at first with 2 down. Giles grounds one back to Putz. So JJ walks a pair but works his way out of the inning by getting Giles. 2 left. Mets still down by a run as we go to the bottom of the 8th. Among the features here at Citi Field, way out beyond center field, is a wiffle ball field for the kids, complete with diamond vision and a fence you can hit a home run in. Look at that. They're going to rig it up so the kids can see themselves on their own big scoreboard out there.
I don't know, Keith. I bet you I can get you out from 30 feet there.
I lost my bat speed. You probably would.
Look at that. Wiffle ball via blimp. Aerial coverage brought to you by DirecTV. If you call yourself a sports fan, you got to get DirecTV. And the former Met Duaner Sanchez will come on to pitch the bottom of the 8th inning, trying to hold a 1-run lead for the Padres.
Well, Sanchez has thrown the ball awfully well. Coming over late in spring training, of course. You see his numbers with the Mets in 66 games. Same kind of hat, though, with all that rosin on it.
Carlos Beltran, first man up against him, takes a strike. The Mets let Sanchez go during spring training, felt they did not need his services anymore after he pitched in 66 games with the Mets last year, coming back from shoulder surgery. Beltran takes low and away 1-1.
So they had 46 pitchers in camp and then added Sanchez late in the spring training.
Well, they brought in anybody who was released by any other team. And Sanchez, one of those who stuck. 1-1 to Beltran. And he misses away 2-1. Francisco Rodriguez up in the Mets bullpen, hoping the Mets can get him a couple of runs and a lead to save in the 9th. Two and 1 to Beltran, and Sanchez misses with a changeup, and it's 3-1. And this is what we saw with Duaner last year. Just no faith in his fastball.
You know, he threw it the first 3 pitches, but nowhere. One was for a strike, but nowhere near the strike zone. So you're right, Gary. Just not as confident with that pitch. Almost has to trick batters now to get them out.
3-1 to Beltran leading off, and he popped it up in foul ground. The catcher Hundley, first baseman Gonzalez. Hundley takes charge and makes the catch. So Sanchez on 3-1 gets Beltran to foul out. 1 down in the bottom of the 8th. It'll bring up Ryan Church. Church is 0 for 2 and a walk.
Opening of Citi Field. Mets down by 1 run. They're going to bring in Sanchez and then Heath Bell. That might be too much to take on opening day.
Bell, by the way, has made no secret of his desire to get the first save at Citi Field. He has had a lot of negative things to say about his time as a Met. His Church is out in front, 0-1. And, you know, it may come to pass that he'll get that opportunity tonight.
Well, it's a new era. Trevor Hoffman gone now, so he is the closer for the Padres. I've always felt that keeping a quiet profile is the best way to go, but he's chosen not to.
Heath is a gregarious guy. Grounded to the right side. Eckstein getting in front of it. Always looks like a labor for him to throw the ball, but he gets Church for the second out.
You know, in regards to Heath Bell, it was like Willie ran a routine ground ball right there. Gets in front, kind of shoves it over to first. Heath Bell lost weight last year for San Diego. Willie Randolph, when he was managing, seemed to never have faith in Heath, and just let him out there to pitch the mop-up games and left him out there to pitch like 2-3 innings.
And I think that's the point that Heath has made over and over. He said the Mets never had faith in me, and I think that's true. I think they never really thought that he could be the kind of pitcher that he's become.
Well, I liked his stuff because he threw hard and he had a great curveball.
Schneider 0 for 2 and a walk tonight. And Sanchez throws one to the backstop.
You know how many players, and Ronnie will tell you too, in the minor leagues, if the people that make value judgments on athletes coming up in the minor leagues, if the wrong people, the people that have the power, say that you're not a major leaguer, you're in trouble. You gotta get out of the organization. You'll never smell it
because you'll be a career minor leaguer.
Of course, Bell was on that shuttle between the minors and the majors year after year. Pulled foul by Schneider 1 and 2.
Well, some of that situation works because he just had options. You know, when you have options, of course, you're going to be the guy to get on that shuttle. I think that, if honestly I had to take a look at it, he was so, I think the reputation he got is that he was so confident and had so much ability in the minor leagues to close games, but they didn't see that same confidence when he would come up for his small stints.
Slowly hit. Rodriguez with plenty of time throws out Schneider in a 1-2-3 inning for Duaner Sanchez. So his first appearance at Citi Field is a positive one. We're heading to the 9th. Francisco Rodriguez may get a chance. Mets down by a run. Get your tickets for opening week and other games throughout the inaugural season at Citi Field, the Mets' new home of amazing. Call 718-507-TIXX or visit Mets.com now for your tickets. Francisco Rodriguez will get an inning of work with the Mets down by a run in the top of the ninth.
Well, he has been outstanding. 2 saves and 2 opportunities. Of course, here with the day off, getting him this inning. Also, you want your best pitcher out there in the bullpen to keep this at only a 1-run deficit.
And you've got Adrian Gonzalez, the best hitter on the club, to lead off in the top of the ninth. Gonzalez homered back in the 5th inning, his 2nd of the year.
And that was off the foul pole down the right field line.
Rodriguez, the 6th Met pitcher of the night. He came on in a non-save situation on Saturday. Remember, it was the 9th inning, and the Marlins were rallying. It was 8-3, and one more base runner would have created a save situation, but Jerry brought him on at that point. And talked to Jerry the next day about it, and he said that he has been guilty, as many managers have over the years, as Gonzalez swings and misses, of managing to the save rule.
Yeah.
In other words, not putting his closer in until it became a save opportunity. He said, I'm trying to train myself not to do that. He said, you have to manage to win the game as opposed to manage to get the save.
I agree.
Love that honesty. Wow.
And he said in his discussions with Frankie that Frankie couldn't care less. Swing and a miss. He struck him out. Gets Gonzalez, a tough man, to start the top of the ninth.
Well, good change up here. You know, he has all 3 pitches, that tight curveball, good 95-mile-an-hour fastball, and that great changeup that he uses against left-handers.
He's the real deal. I mean, he's got the resume to back it up, but, you know, coming over this spring, had a great spring. From the first day I saw him pitch, I knew that he was gold.
Here's Chase Headley, 0 for 2 and a pair of walks, and he takes that curveball for a strike.
The thing you're always looking for, though, in your closer is when he pitches on so much emotion and they get in these situations where it's not a save situation, but just as important to try to get back in this game is to put a 0 on the board.
Well, if you do that, you got a chance to be a winning pitcher. Nothing wrong with that.
Yes. That's a good fastball right there, right by Headley.
How many times do you think you could do that in one 3-game series?
He could do it 1,000 times.
Rodriguez ahead 0-2 on Headley. And the changeup misses 1 and 2. Now you're going to have me do it.
Oh, gosh.
Kevin Kuzminoff on deck. Mets will have 8, 9, and 1 in the order coming up in the bottom of the ninth. Castillo, the pitcher, Spot, and Reyes, presumably against Heath Bell. It looks like he's going to get his wish. 1-2, fouled it off his leg.
Big curveball there.
Just kept following him.
Tracer.
There's Heath.
He looks a little like he's hyperventilating,
he's
doesn't he?
He's going to have to maintain his composure here.
You know how much it means to him. One and 2 to Headley, and a high fly ball hit to right. Ryan Church right there waiting for it, and there are 2 out. So Frankie Rodriguez has retired the first 2.
Boy, Rodriguez has some good control. You watch him and Schneider work, and he hits that glove with all 3 pitches.
So now Kevin Kuzminoff 1 for 4, singled back in the 3rd off Mike Pelfrey. Pelfrey went 5. Stokes, Feliciano, Green, Putz, and Rodriguez have followed. Right now, Brian Stokes is on the short end of this 6-5 score, the result of an error and a Feliciano balk. That was the go-ahead run back in the 6th. Low and away for ball 1 to Kuzminoff.
Boy, Frankie really puts everything into every pitch, doesn't he, Ron?
He does. You know, he's 6 feet tall, so be able to throw the ball as hard as he does. And I think that torque, that's how his curveball is so good and tight.
Two 2-0 to Kuzminoff.
He counters now with a curveball for a ball, changeup for a ball because of Kuzminov, notorious first pitch fastball hitter.
Kuzminov's taking some pitches
He
tonight.
is. Well, that's probably what he had to do in spring training to try to get a little better.
Sometimes that doesn't carry over into the season. Swing and a miss. 2-1.
Well, there's a fastball hitter right there. 2-0 and a hitter's count. And he threw it by him upstairs. Plenty of plate.
On 2-1, Kuzminov takes the fastball high. Frankie Rodriguez signed to a 3-year deal. Just 27 years old. Already the single season all-time saves leader. 62 last year with the Angels. What can he do for an encore? 3-1 to Kuzminov and a high pop fly, shallow left field. Daniel Murphy settling under it. So Frankie Rodriguez comes on and holds the fort with a 1-2-3 top of the ninth, and now the Mets will set about trying to tie it or win it in the bottom of the ninth. Jose Reyes will be part of that. He's the third man due up in the bottom of the ninth as the Mets square off against Heath Bell.
New York Mets baseball on SNY is brought to you by IOTV. Get the best in HD free with IOTV. By Pella Windows, the Mets official window and door replacement company. Call 866-64-PELLA for special savings today. And by Firestone, a tradition of innovation. Immediately after the game, join new host Chris Carlin and former Met Bobby Ojeda for all of tonight's highlights, exclusive interviews, and of course Jerry Manuel's post-game reactions on Lincoln Mercury post-game live immediately after tonight's game, and now after every game only on SNY.
Well, here he comes.
This is what he dreamed of. Heath Bell, the former Met, has said publicly and loudly that he wanted to be the man to get the first ever save at Citi Field. And he gets that opportunity tonight with a 6-5 lead.
3 for 3 in save opportunities so far this season. Big shoes to fill. Trevor Hoffman, the era of Trevor Hoffman gone. He's on to Milwaukee, and Heath Bell has inherited his job. Perfect so far.
It'll be Castillo, then Fernando Tatis on deck to pinch hit, and then Jose Reyes to try and thwart Bell in the bottom of the ninth. Castillo has doubled and walked tonight. He's driven in a run, 1 for 2. And Bell starts him off with a fastball strike. 95 miles an hour from Heath, who pitched parts of 3 seasons with the Mets in 04, 05, and 06, always on the shuttle back to Norfolk. 2 spectacular years as a setup man in San Diego, and now the closer. And a fastball strike. It is ahead on Castillo, 0-2.
Poured in 2 straight heaters, 1 in, 1 away.
That one 97 miles an hour.
I always liked Heath's arm.
Two to Castillo. Slapped on the ground down to third for Kuzminov. And the throw across the diamond perfect for the first out. That's 8 straight retired by the Padres bullpen. 1 away, and now Fernando Tatis. Tatis in his comeback player of the year season last year was a big lead inning hitter. Jose Reyes out on deck. Mets were down 5-1, tied the game in the bottom of the 5th. The go-ahead run, an unearned run, scoring on a balk in the 6th. And the Padre bullpen has been front and center since. Tatis looking for his first hit of the year. Mets have not faced a left-handed starter and may not for a long time. The plan was for Tatis to start against most lefties, but that has not presented itself.
Yeah, you're right about that bullpen. Mojica threw 1 pitch. He could stand to be the winner. Marino with 2 strong innings. Former Met Juaner Sanchez with a perfect inning. And now former Met Heath Bell trying to clean it up.
Well, good pitch to look in. Try to jerk one out of here. Tie it up.
But he goes away, and it's 2-1.
Good gamble there, 2-0. Smart pitching by Bell, keeping the ball away. Nice pitch.
And I'll tell you, as they keep playing at this Citi Field, that will be where pitchers will go 2-0. Outside part of the plate, okay, hit it to center field if you want to hit it out of the ballpark.
A lot of room out there from gap to gap. Tatis lunges and fouls it off 2-2.
Another good fastball outside corner, knees. Outfielders playing pretty much normal. I thought they may hit with the power of Tatis, nothing over your head. 1-run lead in the 9th.
Kuzminoff not right on the line, given enough room on a hard hit ball.
Bell has worked his way back to 2-2.
Whoa!
Backstop. Just a little high. 3-2.
Think he won't.
But right through the screen to the mayor. Well, he's got his souvenir.
How about that?
Hello, Mr. Mayor.
Mr. Mayor, doesn't he have enough to worry about? Now he's got the
3-2 to Tatis with 1 out in the last of the 9th. And a pop-up. Coming back is Hundley, hoping for a play. At the screen, he just runs out of room.
Like Spider-Man up that screen.
Watch him. He gets this fan with a little elbow to the head.
Oh! It's a forearm shiver.
Oh, wow. Incoming.
Almost a half Nelson. Wow. They'll have something to talk about tonight.
Yeah, he's going to make a call later to change his seat plan.
It's 3-2 to Fernando Tatis. In the air to right center field. Cutting in is Giles. 2 out. And so the Mets are down to their final out of the night with Jose Reyes coming up. Padre bullpen has worked 4 innings and allowed no runs and only 2 hits. The Padres are in line for their 5th consecutive win. They swept the series from the Giants, flew east, and now trying to win the first ever regular season game at Citi Field. They're 1 out away.
And Kuzminoff in tight at third base.
And Reyes takes a strike.
Boy, Bell just throwing strikes. See Kuzminoff right there. He's got to respect that. The bunting situation there.
Reyes 2 hits and 4 career at bats against Heath Bell. Driven foul. And now the Mets are down to their final strike. Reyes 1 for 3 and a walk tonight. Daniel Murphy hoping for a turn on deck.
I seem to recall David Wright last year off Heath Bell hitting a walk-off home run to beat the Padres at Shea last year. Ahead in the count, throwing a curveball, much like Wright's home run off the starter today with Silva.
Oh, and 2 to Reyes. Up and away. 1-2.
Well, he's going with all fastballs so far. You might see a slider in the dirt here, though.
Bell bidding for his 4th save of the season already. 1-2. Up and away. 2-2. Somewhat more slender Heath Bell.
He's 1 strike away from his wish. Another fastball away.
2-2. Popped it up in foul ground. Room for Kuzminoff. And
the ball game is over. Heath Bell gets his wish. He picks up the first ever save at Citi Field, and the Padres win their 5th in a row as they spoil the Mets inaugural on their new ballpark. A big game for Jody Gerut. The Padre bullpen spotless. They retired the last 10 in a row, and San Diego wins it 6-5.
Well, Mike Pelfrey struggled in his start today. 5 runs and 5 innings pitched, and really just the error. Although I thought it was a triple off the glove of Church, but called an error, and the balk by Feliciano, the difference in the game. And 4 1/3 innings pitched, shutout ball by that Bud Black bullpen.
And David Wright, of course, in the 5th inning with a 3-run home run to tie the ball game. And kind of ironic, the Mets have dropped 2 games in a row on fly balls to the outfield that should have been caught. The error charged, well, the error wasn't charged. It was charged an error to Church, an unearned run, and Stokes gets the loss on that unearned run.
Well, the flinch by Feliciano that produced the balk brought home the run in the 6th inning, and the Padre bullpen was nails from there. In particular, the former Mets, Duaner Sanchez and Heath Bell. Sanchez a 1-2-3/8, Bell a 1-2-3/9. Jody Gerut, they researched it, and Elias Stiefert just told us the first player ever to hit a home run as the first batter in a new ballpark since at least 1900.
Wow.
So Gerut opening the ballpark in style for the opposition, and the Padres blow a 4-run lead but end up winning it 6-5. An historic night in Flushing as the Mets open Citi Field for real. 41,007, a sellout crowd on hand, but it's the Padres who come up victorious 6-5. Now for Keith Hernandez, Ron Darling, Kevin Burkhardt, and our entire SNY crew, I'm Gary Cohen. Coverage continues now with Lincoln Mercury postgame live with Chris Carlin and Bobby Ojeda.